Hey, what up, boxing fans? This is the Rope-A-Dope Radio Podcast coming to you on a Monday night. We're not doing it live. We're not like Bill O'Reilly. We're not going to do it live, but we are doing the show tonight. Blog Talk's having a little issue, so I had to record it a different way. Anyway, welcome back to the podcast. And boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about, man. What a great fight between Spence and Porter. We're obviously going to lead with that Spence and Porter breakdown. Some people had it a tighter fight than others, including a judge that had it, 8-4 for Porter? So we're going to break down, round by round. We're just going to break down the fight. It was a great fight. In fact, the pay-per-view, as far as a card goes, top to bottom, it'd be hard-pressed to find a better top-to-bottom pay-per-view card in the last, decade? Probably more, actually. Maybe 12 to 15 years. It's been a while. That thing was fun. I'm not trying to, go over the top with it, but I'm telling you, that was a great card in general. So we're definitely going to start with that. Talk about the Benavidez-Durrell fight. Talk about Barrios and Akhmedev. Talk about Lopez Molina. And just talk a variety of stuff, right? We are starting to get a trickle in anyway of oh man, something's going on with okay. So I'm trying a different system tonight, so bear with me a little bit. My voice is so loud, it's kind of sparking up this sound here. So I'm just going to keep trying to make adjustments as I go through. It may be a little choppy. We'll see. Anyway, we're already hearing trickles of how the pay-per-view did, which is a really good sign if you look at it. We're going to break that down. Obviously, we'll look, towards the weekend too. Triple G returns, as does Clarissa Shields. Obviously, Golovkin and Derevyanchenko are going to fight on DAZN this weekend. So we'll definitely preview the upcoming schedule. And then there's a variety of news, whether it's Wilder or Ortiz, and an undercard co-feature that I'm not crazy about, obviously. What is Spence going to do next? It sounds like Danny Garcia is on the menu. Does that mean Pacquiao and Mikey? Does that mean Pacquiao and Mayweather? Got a little information on Mikey's side, Mikey's point of view. And then, like I said, a variety of news. A little bit of Terrence Crawford news, not really, though. Top Rank signed a heavyweight. There was some fights that are either being finalized or, are finalized that we'll talk about. And like I said, just a variety of things pertaining to this weekend. But if this is your first time listening to the Rope-A-Dope Radio Podcast, welcome. It generally streams live or archives, right, on blogtalkradio.com/Rope-A-Dope Radio. But you can find it anywhere, right? You can find it on iTunes, a.k.a. Apple Podcasts, Player FM, and TuneIn. We get a lot of listens through them, Spreaker, Stitcher, basically anywhere, including the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network. You can find them everywhere. iHeartRadio as well. That's a little bit different. Spotify, in fact, through Siri or Alexa with the Spotify or TuneIn, you can find the Rope-A-Dope Radio Podcast there. While you're at it, why don't you head on over to thegruelingtruth.net. That's thegruelingtruth.net. It's boxing, it's football, it's basketball, it's baseball. It's everything in between. They got a great sponsor over there, betnow.eu, TGT promo code, as in the Grueling Truth, betnow.eu. And one more thing, if you're thinking about cutting the cord or you have and you're not happy, try AT&T TV Now, okay? AT&T TV Now, it's a cable streaming service, right? Used to be DirecTV, a little bit different now, but not really, okay? There's a 7-day free trial, but you can go right with a plan that starts at $50. That's with HBO included. You can stream it anywhere. There's no annual contracts. It does have the cloud DVR. Give it a try. AT&T TV Now. I do it myself. So there, okay? Anyway, dude, this fight was a really fun fight. And, I'm not the type of person to always say, I told you so. Get on there and be like, oh, I told you so. You know what I mean? But there were a variety of podcasts and media members of all sorts, whether it's print. There's really no print, digital. I guess the print would be website still, right? Fans on Twitter, like I said, on social media, in the boxing forums, they were kind of mixed on this one. The biggest thing was the pay-per-view, that this is a pay-per-view. And the key item was Porter. Now, Porter wasn't a worthy B-side to be on pay-per-view, is basically what people thought. Not just that, but from 2015 to 2018, whether it was on free TV or basic cable or Showtime, especially 2016 to 2018 for Showtime, they'd get this type of fight on there, right? Or, like I said, on NBC or on CBS, how they had Thurman and Porter and Thurman and Garcia. And my point, like, I understand that point. If that's the main reason that you didn't buy the card because you just didn't think Porter was a legit B-side to warrant a pay-per-view, okay. That's a little different. You know what I mean? That's fine. If that's how you want to do it, that's cool. That's your prerogative. Now to sit there and I'm getting this. I don't know who that is, but we're gonna see who it is. I'm sorry. I got to go back to what I was doing here. To me, so I get that. I get some of that, right? I do get some of that, but I don't know, man. The biggest thing was I just looked at it from a pay-per-view fights in the past. Like if you look at the last 10 to 12 years, right? A lot of main events were showcase fights. I mean, if you didn't buy Pacquiao versus Clottey or Pacquiao versus Jesse Vargas or Algieri or Floyd, versus Berto, Floyd versus Guerrero, Robert Ghost Guerrero, if you didn't buy those, then I understand the B-side thing, okay? But my thing is we've had a fair amount of showcase-type fights on pay-per-view because usually the A-side is either too talented to get beat by most people, or it's just like Canelo and Liam Smith, Canelo and Amir Khan, Canelo and Chavez. In fact, I saw people that not only bought Chavez in Canelo, right? Not only bought that, but some people, and we're complaining about Spence and Porter in the undercard because it's a combo. If you're complaining about the pay-per-view, I'm not saying they complained about the undercard, but they're complaining about the pay-per-view even though it was stacked with good competitive fights. But my whole point is, if there's a couple of people, one in particular, that literally, he does a podcast, he literally went to Canelo in Chavez Jr., went there, took a flight, bought a ticket, spent a bunch of money. Now, you can, usually hotels, considering, all the stuff, the amenities that you get in Vegas, usually hotels are actually fairly priced to an extent if you take it on a normal vacation, whatever. But you're telling me you bought a ticket that's not cheap and you flew out there to watch Canelo and Chavez Jr., right? But you didn't. But you're not gonna. You're basically against Sean Porter fighting Spence on pay-per-view. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you've always taken a stand, that's cool. Like, for instance, that pay-per-view, I didn't take this huge stand because I knew why it was happening. I didn't buy the pay-per-view because I didn't think it'd be a good fight. People were trying to say it was going to be a war. When's the last war Canelo's been in? And really, Chavez Jr. of late hasn't been in that many wars, but at least his style lends itself to that. But how many wars have Canelo been in? I mean, those Golovkin fights are probably the closest to, unless you go back to his 147-pound days. A war? You know what I mean? But either way, it's neither here or there. My point is, this was a great card. And another thing when it comes to pay-per-view is if it makes money, if it goes over that break-even point, then it was okay on pay-per-view. That's usually kind of been the standard, right, a lot of the times. And, just some people are just, now that the zone is here and they're putting out a good product, especially in the second quarter and especially the fourth quarter as well, now they want everything on the zone. Like they want to have, Top Rank and PBC on the zone and just put it all in one area. And that's nice, but some of these people, a lot of them were the people that were talking about exposure. So then aren't we back to HBO? And if you're a casual fan, you're paying $20. I've never paid $20 for HBO. And I know the hardcore fight fan can just pay $100 and get $8.99 a month or whatever it is. And that's right around where HBO is. But it's just kind of weird. Like, is it exposure or is it this or is it that? You know what I mean? Which one do you want? What's healthiest for the sport? Well, it's behind a paywall regardless. And obviously it's cheaper than these pay-per-views. Now, for the people that have the movie option, that's $22. So you could watch all 4 pay-per-views for $100. You know what I mean? So a year, I'm saying. So I don't want to dive too much into this because the biggest thing is it's kind of like, can't we enjoy it for a night? Like, if at the end of the fight, just the presence of Danny Garcia in the ring, which, isn't a great thing right after the fight. We know that. But if the only thing you can talk about is Danny Garcia in it. See, and I saw this plenty too. PBC ruined it again. They had a pretty good fight, and then they ruined it right at the end. This is why I don't support them and all that. Coming off literally the best card of the year, hands down, you can't make an argument. If you're making an argument against that not being the best card, I don't know what to tell you. You haven't really been a boxing fan then. You just haven't. And I'm not here to pull your card, and I'm not a boxing historian like many others are, but it's really crazy the people that dogged it all week and since it's been announced and how they had to just go right to Danny Garcia. Oh, this is shit. But those same people, or a lot of them anyway, were calling Crawford and Danny Garcia a good fight. Now, I understand Pacquiao or Crawford. And Spence is going to run into stuff here that people are going to want to see Crawford, and they're going to give him shit for it. And, rightfully so. I get that. But it's just crazy the lead up to this. And in just the last couple of months, how people were saying 200,000 below, 150 below. I don't think it does even 125. Like, they were just destroying this fight as if it's a complete mismatch on pay-per-view. But yet, some of the people were talking about that weren't talking about this fight or were dogging it. They were talking about Crawford and Amir Khan and how good that pay-per-view undercard was. They found the positives out of it. And if we're being honest, the reason why Khan and Crawford, it was on pay-per-view in the first place is because they're both making over $5 million. You know what I mean? That's good to be on pay-per-view. And the reason why there's pay-per-view even more now is because, well, in the new Fox deal, they wanted to do 4 a year. So that's another thing that I don't know why people are so surprised. They announced that the pay-per-view was going to be there, right? That was the pay-per-view arm and platform was going to be there. So at least look at the last 2 fights, Thurman and Pacquiao and Spence and Porter in the undercards, especially this one. I just get a little shook from some of this. It's just like, why are we constantly moving the goalposts? They still have a free TV arm. They still have FS1, even though it doesn't feel like they still have Showtime because it's mostly Showbox and Clarissa Shields. They are going to have a decent schedule to close the year. Oh, my God, it's about time. But it's just crazy to me that this is what people are talking about after. And some people are just, it's just crickets on their Twitter account after the fight, or since they thought it was such a mismatch, right? Then they went around saying robbery. So all these robberies nowadays, any competitive fight, especially a competitive fight, i.e. Hurd and J-Rock. Remember J-Rock? Some people were saying he doesn't even really have much for him. It's a mismatch. This is still a good fight, but it's not, it's kind of a mismatch. I saw plenty of, like, J-Rock doesn't have much for Hurd, and this, that, and the third. And then they love that fight because it's the fight of the year. And this is a different example because Porter was looked at like such a mismatch, right, on paper. But we knew it'd be a competitive fight. We know Spence doesn't move like Thurman. And the way Spence was talking, he was like, dude, I'm coming for it. And that's exactly what happened. So you had like media members that are somewhat prevalent saying stuff like, pay-per-view. I did all these pay-per-views, dude. Well, when Pacquiao fight twice a year and Mayweather fought twice a year, there'd always be like one extra one, where it'd be like Cotto and a decent B-side or whatever. Or maybe Floyd just fights once and Pacquiao fights twice. Well, Pacquiao wasn't fighting killers both times. You knew who was going to win those fights. You see what I mean? So what is your definition of a pay-per-view success and what your money's worth? And there's no way you can't say you didn't get your money's worth. There's just no way around it. So it's funny now that the PBC are doing the pay-per-views. Now pay-per-view, it's dead, or we don't need it, it's ruining the sport. But then when they were putting the stuff on basic or free, and they actually were investing, they weren't making money on that stuff. They weren't. I mean, clearly they weren't. We know that it's not sustainable at this point in time to put two high-level dudes, even on Showtime, but especially Fox. Well, at least you can recoup some of it from the ads, but still you don't know. It's hard to sell ads when you don't know the peak number. So it's funny. It's like, which one is it, dude? Are you going to rip Showtime for keeping Deontay Wilder and Brazil off pay-per-view? Or are you going to say, Wilder and Ortiz on pay-per-view? That's shitty, dude. Which one is it? You can't have it both ways, although that's what online's all about. But that's just a small rant. I saw so many people arguing, Crawford. The first thing now that I've seen that fight, Crawford's number one welterweight. Aren't you just happy you just got to either pay or stream for free? And we all know that stuff's so available out there. So that's another thing. You complain up and down and all around, but it's so easy to find an HD stream that stays on nowadays. It's not like even 3 to 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, where the stream would work perfect until the main event came. Then it would crash. And the website would be like, hey, give us $5 for this, and we'll get going. Just some stupid stuff. So anyway, just a little bit of rant, because you're seeing this, you're just seeing this from, I don't know. It just sucks, dude. It just sucks. Let's put it that way. It just sucks. And I'm getting some messages here that I have to check really quick. So I have to make sure, but this fight, dude, this fight was awesome, man. It really was. It had a little bit of everything, and the fact that, Spence fought his fight, that was so awesome. And of course you're going to get hit more when you do that. But man, okay, let me make sure. All right. Yeah, I'm kind of doing some weird stuff. I'm actually in a teleconference tonight, just recording it, seeing how it works, and then I'm going to go from there. So we'll get it there. Anyway, man, this fight, dude. Let's get it. The rant's over. I ranted a little bit last week too. I'm sorry. You just see this argument, whether it's the PBC side or the other side, the Zone or ESPN. You just see these arguments, and it's like, can't you be a little happy that you just saw the best top to bottom event of the year? Can't you wait till Monday or Sunday to be mad about Danny Garcia? We knew the Crawford fight wasn't going to happen. And, a lot of those people didn't want the Pacquiao fight, actually. they'd rather see Pacquiao and Mikey Garcia, and that might happen too. We don't know. But anyway, I'm just gonna try to break some of this down here, man. But right from the start, they kind of a tad feel out round, in the first round. Could have went either way, really, if we're being honest. You know what I mean? I did think Spence landed a couple of decent ones down the stretch. That's the way it seemed to me to steal the round. But either way, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But second round and third round too. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 really fun exchanges going on, and you can really start to see this thing pick it up. And you can see Spence was fighting that rough and tumble style, and there was a little bit of a minor head clash early, and there was some rough play. And before you knew it, it was Spence doing Porter. Pause. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really was. Like, he was doing his best Porter impression. It was damn impressive, dude. I couldn't believe that he was going that far with it. I knew he'd try it, but I just didn't know he would go that far with it, dude. And he did. He was right there. But when you fight like that, just like Golovkin would sometimes, or other people, Margarito too, but, you get hit. That's what happens. I mean, when you fight Spence, if you don't use a jab and just hug him, same with that too, but Porter, if you don't just use the jab, little bit of movement, and just hold him, you're going to be in for a long night. You're still going to be in for a long night. Thurman did kind of throw with him a little more, but still, he moved plenty too, and he got out of harm's way when he had to, where Kell Brook really clinched him perfectly, and he got away with it, which that's what happens. You get away with it sometimes you don't. And I think I'm going to have some more callers. They may have, some issues calling in or timing wise, because I'm text messaging these people, numbers and codes and shit like that not out of nowhere, but kind of. You know what I mean? They haven't used this before, so the queue is empty. I don't have my normal callers that just listen anyway, which, by the way, you can still do that on Blog Talk once I upload it. But anyway, after 4 rounds, I had it 2-2. And like I said, Spence was standing right in front of Porter. And if anything, Porter was the one that, kind of did what he did against Danny Garcia and was on the outside at the start. Didn't take long, though. I believe he took too long against Danny Garcia to close the gap and start to do his style. And with Ugas, he didn't do it nearly enough. You know what I mean? That was a weird style for him. And Ugas, it was a weird style to come forward. That's why he wasn't as effective as he probably could be. But I thought this was probably the best performance at the high level anyway, in my opinion, of Porter. Because he mixed that outside in the mini attacks and still got it in. He did a great job of spinning Spence. Spence did the same thing to him as the fight drew on. But, okay, this is really weird. So they're saying that it's not on there. Huh. Okay, so, actually, you know what? I'm going to try something. I'm going to see if I can add somebody to this just straight up. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and try to add him. All right. So, sorry about the break here. All right. So, I'll tell you what. This system is, I thought, just fine. I think it's doing fine for me, but I guess they're having a little problems calling in. So, not sure exactly what's going on with that. So we'll see. But anyway, see, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with how Sean Porter fights. I never have, and I really never will. That's because I either am okay with or appreciate a variety of styles. I don't need to just follow one style and that's it. You know what I mean? So to me, I was okay with what Spence was doing when he, was either going low straight up or going on the lower part of the belt or right on the belt. Obviously his trunks were a little high because you couldn't see his belly button, but clearly Spence went low numerous times, or at least real borderline, maybe half those times. I mean, he was really going for it. You know what I mean? But I thought by the fifth round, you could see that Spence started catching Porter and timing him. That little step to the side or step back, and usually a left hook. Sometimes it was a two-punch combo. And the left hook, by the way, from Spence, both of them are landing great left hooks. I mean, how many times have we seen Spence get just flushly hit like that? I mean, it really showed his chin. It really did. Early on, there was that moment where you're like, he's okay, right? Oh my gosh, he's not doing much here. But then there was a moment later where he actually kind of slipped, and it wasn't a trip. It was more like Porter had his foot, or he didn't have his foot, but he had his foot on his foot, right? So it looked worse than it was. But you could start to see, I think that was the difference in the fight. The body punching, obviously, from Spence, that slowly but surely wore down Porter enough anyway. And the timing, the left hook, it was really big. Now, both of them land jabs, but they weren't that consistent with it. And it was really Spence for a good chunk of the fight just giving basically Porter his own medicine. That's basically what's happened. He was giving it his own medicine. Now, it was sloppy in spots. It was rough and rugged. And, the ref, he's trying to bark orders from a distance. It's like, no, you got to get in there, dude. So it was just entertaining. It was just entertaining, like I said, sloppy in spots, but clean punching. And then I felt like, okay, Porter made another little adjustment, I think, right around the seventh round, where he's mixing it up, where he's going in and out, and he had a better round. Eighth round, here is kind of a synopsis of the fight. In the eighth round, Porter landed probably his best three punches, two of them to the head and one to the body. And Spence could have won the round. You know what I mean? I don't think he did. But round 9, another one where it was just great two-way round. Exchanges left and right, but Spence closed stronger. He's closed stronger in that. So it was phenomenal, dude. It really was. And like I said, I got my bang for the buck. And then that 10th round, Spence started taking over, separating himself. 11th round, obviously, caught him with that left hook. Beautiful shot. And for him to just get up after that, he was like a little depleted, a little mad, was Porter. But for him to get up and throw back and then try to finish strong in the 12th, that was really impressive. That was a really fun fight to watch, like I said. And this is what people want. And when you look at like the theater, first of all, I had an 8-4 Spence, or 7-5 Spence, or like a 7-4-1 or something like that. I know people don't like to do tied rounds, but I think you could make an argument there was a tied round in there. So obviously two judges had it 116-111, which that's a knockdown, 8-4. But then another one had it 115-111 for Porter. And so I don't see 8 rounds for Porter. 6 rounds is tough enough, in my opinion, for Porter. But I don't know, man. I don't necessarily agree with that one. I don't necessarily agree with that one. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I got this stuff here. Okay. So, yeah, the scorecard was a little loose, but it was a tight fight. There was plenty of people that thought, it was a draw, or like, it was tough to do a draw. actually, if you look at with the knockdown, you know what I mean? You'd have to have like a 6'5" you know what I mean? Like if you're 6'6", obviously that's Spence. So 6'6", 7'5", 8'4", I'm good with that. I just didn't see Porter winning this fight. And sometimes people, and that's the thing about the robbery thing. Every tight fight is a robbery online nowadays. And it's like either you're, in this situation, either you're a Terrence Crawford fanboy probably, or you thought Porter was just going to get his ass kicked, right? Which he did. So it's like, which one is it? Like I said, you can't have it both. You can't sit there and dog the fight, and then since he did better, now then I think he won. He got screwed. So, I mean, it just, I guess people are just going to be like that. But as far as at the theater was popping. Like, it was halfway sold out like a week before. And I kept a track of it because I had some friends that were going to I was going to try to get another seat or two by who I was going with anyway. And I wasn't able to do it. And it was just as packed as Canelo and Golovkin, both those fights. It had more than Wilder Fury. It had more than Spence Garcia. It had more than a couple other ones, too. It was right there with it. Now, usually in the stadium seating, it's like the front row when you're super close, those first couple rows, not many people sitting there. I noticed people that, because the theater entrance is right by a bathroom, and I noticed dudes will look up and be like, oh, shit, I'm just going to sneak in here real quick. And I noticed some of those people go to the front row to kind of hide out. Maybe like the back part of that stuff right on the, those rows. I think it was like 6 to 10 rows. The last 2 to 3 rows have people in them and are more full. But, when it's that big of a screen and you're looking at these fighters, not a movie, you don't necessarily need to be in that front row. But as far as the ones that are kind of, in the stadium seating part, I mean, there was barely a seat available. So it was, that part's cool. And Spence is starting to resonate, man. We saw this old-ass dude well into his 60s there, all by himself, loving Spence, right? Talked about him in the bathroom and shit. We saw this old white couple, like both in their 50s, 60s, probably 60s. I don't know. Spence seems like a nice guy. I like his smile, I don't know what it is, but it was, I mean, he's starting to resonate, period. And I got to say, as far as the build-up, I was a little surprised that both these pretty quiet guys, respectful guys, quote-unquote, were able to really make enough noise in these press conferences to make you go, hey, wait a second, dude, this is kind of fun. So that surprised me, too. Obviously, the marketing that Fox did, it was everywhere. I talked about it a little bit last week, so I'm not going to, hit it over the head, but it was everywhere. I watched a West Coast game, Washington State, a Pac-12, when I got home. I had it on DVR, a Pac-12 Washington State at Utah, which was a pretty competitive game to the end. Then all of a sudden, Utah, you don't care. I'll stop. But during that game that started at 9 or 9:30 Central, so that means the card's already been going and the main event's coming around the corner or whatever. They were on the bottom line of FS1 that probably did 1 million viewers, on FS1 in that game. They're saying order the fight. You know what I mean? You still have time to order. Like, they did great. When you look at some of the shoulder programming, the same show on Saturday almost did 1 million, probably peaked at 1 million. The next day on Sunday, 1.7 because it came after football, NFL football. So they did a great job. And think about Spence. You know what I mean? Think about Spence, dude. Like, it started last Thanksgiving remember they did during the Thanksgiving Dallas game, they showed Spence. Then they did something with Garcia, and they started getting going. And by the time NFL was done, they couldn't really go heavy on Spence and Garcia because it was in March. But as far as college basketball and all their other stuff, they were just pushing it. Obviously, Fox had a card like a week or two before that Porter card, I believe it was, so they could push it there. But when you see football now, And even that, we got a glimpse of it with the Charlo, that first fight they had, the Charlo fight, and also Thurman, that Thurman Jose Cito Lopez, and the Plant, Uzgaji. They definitely got it in there. So we're starting to see more of that. And that's why I think if you look at Wilder Ortiz, and even if you look at the date, the January date, that date with the 2-week gap between the conference finals in the NFL, AFC and NFC, and then the Super Bowl, they're going right in there. That's nothing new. Boxing's done that. In fact, that's when Thurman and Lopez was in many fights in recent years. I think you go against basketball, the NBA. But by the time that's over, a lot of times the main event hasn't even started. And also, I believe it's NHL All-Star Weekend, which, they ended up beating them in the last hour or whatever. But anyway, they're doing a great job. And right now, they had 16,700 something, and we don't know what the gate is just yet. Whether it did 1.5, 2 million, 2.5, 3, I don't know. What I do know is, I think it was 3.5 million is what Wilder and Fury did. Was it 3.5 or 3.8? I don't know. I believe it was over 3 million. So it's going to do really good at the gate, regardless. Yes, they treated this like a Vegas fight, just like they did Wilder Fury. The ticket prices were high, especially right away. And they get the fans go right away, buy some, right? They try to get those 50 to 100s or expensive ones, whatever. Then there's like a lull where the tickets aren't moving as much. And they start to drop the prices, just like in Vegas. How many times has a Vegas fight dropped a day or two before it? Then they did drop just right at the box office. The box office was the best place to get them in this fight because the secondary sites were still selling. A lot of people are saying they're not even selling 300 sections anymore, that half a upper deck or whatever it is. Like when you're in a computer on your phone and it shows the arena, it's like the back and the front, of the upper deck. It's not the whole bowl up there. It basically be like north and south in a sense, if you're looking at it from that angle. But meanwhile, those tickets are still available, and the 300 tickets are getting sold on the secondary market for about $25 more, $86, $76 compared to $50 or whatever. So we don't know the gate number. We're going to find out. Even 1.5 or 2 million is a really big gate for what this fight was. And for Spence, he hasn't had a main event there. He hasn't even had like a Klitschko feature in LA. He's fought in LA before, but not just completely as a prospect. So, and we saw what Porter did with Ugas, like 1,000 people, 900 people, something like that. So that would be huge. So now he can go to Barclays. He can go to Texas. Pretty sure he does pretty good at Texas. And then now he can go to Staples Center and obviously Vegas. If Terrence Crawford, when and if that fight happens, that's where that fight will be, I'm assuming. And maybe the Pacquiao fight. Obviously, Jerry Jones wants the fight. The fight's not worth as much as Mayweather-Pacquiao, obviously, so maybe he will put up a little bit more money. But the MGM obviously has deep pockets. But anyway, that's huge. And it is trending either over 300 or right around 300. Now, Coppinger and a couple other people have been reporting that it sounds like it's trending over 300, but under 350. Now, it's Monday. You don't know for sure. Anywhere from 250 to 3-something is a big win, dude. The Thurman-Pacquiao card, I believe they said it was 250 to break even. 250,000 buys to break even. And obviously, Manny Pacquiao's guarantee is going to be a lot bigger than, Spence's and Porter's on this fight. Thurman's was hefty too. So was it 225? Was it 175? Was it 200? Whatever the break-even point is, they broke even and made money. So that's a good sign. And for those who don't think it's supposed to be on pay-per-view, if the thing does over 300,000, I got news for you. These are gonna be pay-per-views, dude. Sorry, but at least they're good ass fights. I mean, look at the last two pay-per-views. Now, you can say what you want about Spence and Garcia. Now, I did not like the undercard whatsoever, and I went to the theater on that one because I just didn't think, that that was gonna happen. You know what I mean? I just didn't, not happen, but just I wasn't feeling the undercard. Now, the Pacquiao-Broner, those are names. Those guys have guarantees, so that's obviously going to be on pay-per-view. It was a bad part of year, obviously. It's a week before, then they're going to do the week that they have, I was talking about for Spence and Garcia. It was the week before that, actually, which is even worse because you're going on the conference final stuff. But anyway, so that's a good sign. That means you're starting to resonate. If he could go over 300,000 twice, but the dude's like 360-ish, whatever he did, 350 to 400, somewhere in there he did with Spencer Garcia. A lot of people just assume that it was Garcia with the Mexican fan base, and it was that, but it wasn't only that. You could hear the stadium when Spence got announced for that fight, and obviously here too. In fact, during the fight, Porter had a chant going, which was pretty cool, and he got drowned out. Whether it's people that know Spence, that live in L.A. or on the West Coast in general, that flew there, or right from Dallas. You could see when he said Dallas. You could hear a big roar. So, I don't know, dude. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's just one of those things that is just kind of funky. And, maybe people can't get into this queue right now because I already started recording it. But I thought once you record it, people could get in the queue. But man, this was a hell of a fight. I'm gonna see if I can add him here. Let's see if I can do that. I'm gonna go ahead and see. Hopefully that doesn't mess up what I'm doing here. I don't believe it will. I'm gonna see if I can add Mark to it. Mark, are you there? All right, I don't see that he's there, so I'm going to, whoops, Mark, you there? I do not see you. Huh, okay, so we're going to see if that, I don't know what's going on with that. Okay, so he's not on the call. Okay, so, like I said, some of this is just, okay, it says he's unavailable, so he must be off that. So there are some people that are on the line. So we'll see. We'll see if they can get in. Like I said, I'm literally trying this tonight. I was just pissed, and I want to do the show tonight. The schedule worked for it to do it tonight, so I'm going to do it. I'm just going to keep this puppy going here, okay? And if, stuff happens, stuff happens. I don't even know if I can for sure refresh this screen and the recording would stop. Yeah, I have no clue. That's how new it is right now for what I'm trying to do here. So, let me just make sure. So he could just pop, they'll probably just pop on out of nowhere. Interesting. So I can actually record this as well. All right. Okay, sorry about the weird stuff here. So anyway, okay, I'm really sorry about this, guys. Anyway, I'm just gonna keep going, see what happens. Get there. I just said that, and here I am typing away. Okay, I'm gonna stop. So that's all you can do. Maybe it'll just pop out of nowhere. Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see if this works. So anyway, I'm not seeing anybody in the queue still. So I'm assuming that you're not in there. Now I've muted everybody just in case, and then you just unmute. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up. Okay. So great fight overall. Great card. And I'm going to get to the card in just a second, just to clear it up here, clean this up, kind of put a bow on it. Now, a lot of people are not happy about Danny Garcia. The people booed, people the movie theater booed. It was kind of like, we don't want it. What is this, right? And it's not, I don't have a problem with the Danny Garcia fight because he's the sixth best. You have Thurman, Pacquiao, Crawford, Porter, and Spence. And so he's the sixth best. So it's basically one or two against six. It's not that bad. It's just the timing, I would say this, timing-wise, it actually does work pretty good for him. You know what I mean? Because it's really going to help if you look at it. If you really look at it, it's really going to help him. He's going to get, if you look at, by the time this stretch during football, now they got Spence in football in this one. They got him a little bit last year, like I mentioned, with the Thanksgiving stuff and on Fox with college basketball and other stuff. But to have him in the fall, early fall, right? And then to go Wilder and all that. But then in the playoffs, to have Spence come up again, like even if that Garcia, the Spence Garcia doesn't do as well as some of these other pay-per-views, just the branding alone is worth it. And that's where the investment is. And speaking of investment, going back to people saying this should be on Fox, I understand that, but it's not like they haven't invested in both these guys, right? I mean, obviously Spence had that huge spot that had to pay a pretty penny of time buys to get that one behind that, on NBC, where you score that highlight reel knockout. And, after the U.S. gold medal game in the ceremony, because it was actually after the ceremony, and they went right to the fight. It worked out perfect. Then he got on NBC. I think it peaked at like 1.4, something like that, which is a pretty big number right there on average. So they've promoted him, and now he just got his pay-per-view, so they promoted the shit out of that, right? But then Porter was on CBS in front of almost 4 million. I think it was 3.8, 3.9 that Porter and Thurman peaked at. Broner peaked at, with Broner fight, that was like 3.2 or something like that. So they've put these guys in front doing exactly what you're saying, but at some point you do have to recoup, because everybody's so worried about the recoup when it came to the investment money. And when it comes to certain fights on Showtime or Fox, like, how are they paying for this, They don't ask how DAZN's paying for it, but you know what I mean? It's kind of like, that's why this stuff's on pay-per-view, dude. So it is what it is. But it does seem like January 25th, that's when he's going to fight. My guess at the Barclays. I would be surprised if it's in Texas. It could be, maybe, but I would say at the Barclays. Bring him back to the East Coast. He hasn't been in Barclays since, it'll be, 2 years, right? Yeah, I think 2 years. So, because that Peterson fight was 2018 January, right? So, it is what it is. I look at it in the next year and a half or two, if he fights Garcia, which was a pound-for-pound matchup, whatever, it was a mismatch once we got in the ring. We kind of maybe knew it would be because of size, but he showed a different skill. But either way, we got that. Then we got Porter. Then we got Danny Garcia. Then if it's Pacquiao in the summer, and that's what it might be, you never know. It might be in the fall, too. I don't really know what Pacquiao's thinking right now and what he actually wants. Does he want he wants Mayweather. We know that. But if he doesn't get it, will he get Mikey? And then they'll go to Spence? I don't know. Now, Thurman's going to be out. He had surgery on his hand, and it's like a 9-month rehab. He's going to be back in the first quarter, he hopes. So I'm not crazy about the fight next. You know what I mean? However, like, if he fought Porter, Danny Garcia, Pacquiao, and then fought Terrence Crawford, if we get that Crawford early 2021 at the latest, and that's actually what a Fox, some rep said it on, I think on Sirius from Fox, saying that's basically, he was saying the Wilder Fury will be a blueprint and a start to a relationship for a potential Spence and Crawford. You know what I mean? And obviously, you know, a lot of people talk the Wilder Fury thing in the split, but that's obviously different. But my point is, over the next year and a half, 2 years, right? As long as he fights Terrence Crawford before he goes up, and we know he does cut weight. He's been saying it lately that he doesn't want to blow up between fights. Well, he's not going to be able to blow up much between the fight because he's got like 16, I think it's 17 weeks. So I think I counted that out, 17 weeks or something like that. So he's got plenty of time to decompress, relax, but not have 4 months off before he even get to camp. You know what I mean? Also, he's talking about that he doesn't have a nutritionist. Well, if he adds a nutritionist, which I assume he will, but if he does, I think that will allow him to make 147 for another couple fights beyond what we think he could do. But my whole point is, as long as he fights Terrence Crawford within a year and a half, because I didn't think it was going to happen until next 2020, next year, later in the year. Now, if it happens May or spring or early 2021, it seems so far away. It sucks, but I still would be okay with it just because as long as it happens. I understand why people wouldn't want the Danny Garcia fight next. They're like, hey, if you're not going to do Crawford, do Pacquiao. Screw this. Don't fight Danny Garcia. Some people would rather see Ugas because of the way he's performed the last couple of years and against Porter, right, recently in March in front of over 2 million people. They think Ugas should get the shot, you know. Now, I don't know if that's a pay-per-view, obviously, but, you know, that would be a good fight. And he is going to be a mandatory, so he'll probably either be on the card or get some step-aside money. The new stuff is going to kind of blend into this stuff because we may get Danny Garcia in January. Sometime in July, and Ugas kind of stay busy, even though it may not be because Ugas is a damn good fighter. And then maybe a Pacquiao fight. I don't know. Maybe Thurman would be ready by then. And Thurman had all sorts of stuff to say. And here's another reason why, although I like Thurman broadcasting-wise, it's not bad at all. I like him. I think he could get better, too, if he did it more. But the biasness in fighters and athletes, celebrities, but especially fighters and athletes, when you hear people, because those are the ones that go on broadcasting, too, when you hear some of these people talk, you're like, dude, come on. When he said 5-0 Porter, it's like, so what's going on? 5-0 Porter? You have Porter. Like, oh, hey, Mark, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
Hey, what's up, dude? What's going on?
Hey, what's how does this work? What am I doing here?
So I believe you're on. Let me double check here. Talk a little bit, would you?
Yeah, hello?
Just say
hello.
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 Yeah, so I am on, right? And we should be good to go. I could hear you. I saw it it registered on the volume. And so we should be good to go. The audience should be able to hear you just like this.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of random, right?
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. What's okay.
There.
I can't see it.
Yeah.
Okay, I can.
Right. Oop. And it's really not. It's not necessarily. Okay, hold on. And it's really not let me just minimize that real quick. Okay, I can see there. All right. So I should be able to see you just fine. You can actually just start talking, and it should be good to go.
Let me see.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay, I may have. Okay, I still see you. No, you left. Okay, so if you just join in, yeah, it's maybe something happened. Maybe he's making an adjustment or something. But he'll just pop in, and I'll just see him. So there you go. I got
Okay,
you.
am I back on?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Cool. Were you, yeah, I didn't know. I think because I was doing the video, like, it was, like, kind of, like, chopping. I didn't know. Are you on the video? Yeah, I didn't know.
I tried not to. I called in differently. Usually I'm not on the video, but for some reason it put me on the video. But
yeah, that's what it just did for me.
Right.
Like, and I think it was like, I don't know, it just felt like chopped. I don't know. And I had to stay at one part of my, like, so, like, yeah, but no, I think it's better now. But tell me if it's being weird again. I don't know.
No, it's perfect. I can
Is
see
this
you
the show?
Yeah, this is the show. We're basically just recording it, and then I'm going to upload it to Blog Talk. And this might be how we do it. This might be how we do it.
Dude.
Some nights I may be able to just, because now there's a record on Skype. Well, it's been there for a little while. I can record the car, or you can, or I can. You know, more than likely I would, because I'd be the one uploading and all that. But so if we didn't do it, you know, in this way, like calling this exact number, me calling into this free teleconference thing, I could just Skype you. We record the conversation. It records, and we could put it to an MP3 because it records as a video MP4. But you know what I mean. So it's pretty dope, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Screw Blog Talk, man, dude. It's like I feel like every other week you're having issues with the shit.
I know, and then it'll be like months. And it'll be months that go by nothing. And then all of a sudden, like, and then bam, bam, bam. It's like, all right, dude, what the hell?
And then there's no live. You can't talk to anyone live, right? You just got to wait for them to respond to you, right? There's no live customer support, right?
Not when I do the show. There is some live stuff to where you can leave your number. They'll call you back. I've been on the phone with them, but yeah, not when I'm doing the show because it's like business hours. So it's all funky when it comes to the help. You get it, but it's not when you need it, basically.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah, perfect. Awesome. But yeah, man.
So let's talk about this fight, dude. Let's get into it. I've already broken it down. I've kind of broken it down from every angle, from the online, criticism it got before the fight, the post stuff, just everything. But obviously the fight inside the ring was the most important. Let me just break down the fight. Where'd you watch it? How'd you score it? Just kind of give us a feel for your angle on the fight because, dude, from top to bottom, that shit was a good-ass card, dude. Best full card of the year.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, the Darrell fight was good, surprisingly. Like, you know what I mean? I actually gained a tad bit of respect for him that I didn't have before. I'm not sure if it was him. It was him or his brother that pulled that shit that one time. I keep forgetting. I think it was his brother, huh? That did that.
Yeah, but there was a moment where Anthony Darrell did pull it too, against Uzgadaji. Remember, he was like, "Oh yeah,
that was.
I got hit," and remember that's when his uncle went off.
Yeah. But it wasn't really his fault. Type. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. It was cool. But yeah, I was expecting him to, just straight up like quit or like, some other funny stuff happened. But it was good. I thought he showed a lot of heart in that. I was pleasantly surprised with that. That was good. I missed the Barrios fight. I heard that he got a gift decision. Is that accurate?
Well, the only thing is I don't think he did because he did get knocked down twice. So I had it 113. I had him winning 7-5. First 4 rounds were all Barrios. He was looking all flashy. He was landing clean shots. He was fresh. It looked like, oh shit, Barrios is gonna roll here. But then, and he knocked him down in the 4th round too with a nice shot. Maybe even another knockdown that they probably missed. But but then once the 5th, 6th, and especially the 7th, it's funny because I was streaming it real quick while I went and got a drink, went to the bathroom, and kind of met up with someone that had come to the theater to show them, hey, here you go, give them their ticket and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, we sat down in that fight, and it was the beginning of the 7th round, and it was like 77 to 74 on the punch count, right? Barrios had the lead. And from the 7th to the end, all of a sudden, oh boy, had a freaking 100-punch lead, Akhmadov. 100-punch lead after that. He was starting to break him down and just tattoo him to the body and head. The Barrios showed a great chin, but he scored a knockdown in the 12th round, which basically saved the fight for him. But there was a card that had it 8-4, which was ridiculous. I had it 7-5, so that makes it a 113-113.
Yeah, I got to go back. I'm probably going to watch that tonight whenever we get off the call and see what people are talking about with that. But yeah, the Durrell fight, just before I get into the Porter thing, I just feel like, I don't know, there's a couple of takeaways. I mean, when you look at Benavidez and the way that he was fighting, I don't know if you noticed it, but I mean, it's not like he looked bad or anything, but a lot of the things that I was talking about before that I feel like people never really bring up about him is the fact that he's, I'm not going to say he's completely flat-footed, but he isn't light on his toes. He doesn't punch through his legs. I think that's the reason why he kind of just has to walk people down and shit like that. And he has decent upper body movement, because I noticed that Durrell was catching him with a lot of counter overhand rights and stuff like that in the beginning. And, so he started, pulling his neck back and, doing that whole thing. But when you look at someone like Caleb Plant, you can sort of see how that fight is going to go. With him walking Caleb down or trying to, and Caleb just using a variant of different punches, to the body, to the head, and just winning a pretty wide scorecard. Just because Benavidez, it's good. He does have great combinations. He does, but he doesn't bend it. You see him bend his legs at all. Like he never changes levels. None of that shit. He's definitely not one-dimensional, but, for a guy that's going to move and be in and out like Caleb,
You're good. Keep going.
Okay. For a dude like Caleb, I just feel like, it's going to be a pretty, I don't know if you noticed what I saw, but I feel like it's a pretty easy victory. I mean, maybe lose maybe 3-4 rounds max, but I think people are going to be surprised at how easy that is. It's crazy how, and I go on YouTube and I see Twitter and stuff like that, and how much people talk about Benavidez, how he's going to destroy Caleb. I don't see it. I really don't see it. I see two completely different levels. I think that Benavidez is good at what he does, but that's not enough, dude. Not enough. He has creative combinations real quick, but he has to be standing his feet have to be planted, dude. They have to be planted, and it's not like he doesn't get hit. He does. He does a great job. If there's one thing that he does better than Caleb, he uses his hands to block punches. What is it called? When they parry punches, he parries punches better than anyone else in the division. Right? He'll parry something and counter off of it and shit like that, regardless of where the punch is coming from. But again, he has to do that because he relies 100% just on his hands, not his legs. And that's going to be his detriment, ultimately. I think that Caleb wins a pretty wide decision, believe it or not. Wide decision. Looking forward to that fight. Hopefully it's going to be next, right?
I actually don't think it'll be next, to be honest with you, because there already is some sort of, first of all, the agreement, let me just back it up real quick. I think you're right. The Benavidez thing, I think it's because of the flashy combination. And you know how everybody loves that. You know what I mean? Everybody loves a guy that's going to throw, that 13-punch combo or whatever he had against Porky. When he knocked him out, when he threw all those punches, really saw that. I think that's why people are thinking that. And also, if you look at Uzgadaji, who's a different fighter, but in the second half of that fight, he did close the gap. He did start landing more. So maybe it's some of that too, which I think if he can make it in the second half, I think he could do some of that because we did see, plans.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's wearing down, but he started getting hit flush and whatever. But the stipulation of that fight, right? So when he got stripped, Benavidez, for doing coke, right? He got busted not with steroids, but with coke, right? He got stripped. Well, that Yildirim and Darrell, that fight that happened in February, it actually happened in Minneapolis. They fought, and Darrell won the fight. But part of it, because, it was a really tight fight, and they stopped it on cuts, and he barely won the decision, which a lot of people thought Yildirim won. So basically, Yildirim went to the WBC and was like, dude, what's that all about? You know what I mean? Like, this is bullshit. I think I won that, this, that, and the other, right? So, because when they stopped the fight, they thought, oh, we won. Oh, no, it's a headbutt, dude, not a punch. So anyway, in this whole deal, to make this fight happen, the winner was always going to fight Yildirim next. That's what he got when he petitioned the WBC. And, when you look at that fight, Yildirim could have won the fight. You know what I mean? I will say that. Darrell won it, okay, no big deal, but he could have won the fight. It seemed like plenty of people thought Yildirim won too. So and sometimes when it's like that, they'll order certain stuff. So that, right? So it's going to be Yildirim against Benavidez. But also the belt, the IBF belt that he has, Plant, it sounds like they're going to say, oh, we need a Mando out here. The IBF is quick to Mando.
Yeah.
So they got a Mando for him. So it will not happen next, unfortunately.
So they can milk it one more fight, both get other paydays before they got to take the big risk. I get it. Yep. But it's like what you were saying. Yeah, you made a good point earlier in regards to Uzgadaji, having some success in the later rounds. Yeah, he won a solid 4 or 5 rounds. I remember that, towards the end. However, remember, a lot of that was because of Uzgadagi's ability to come forward and use upper body movement at the same time, which is what Benavidez lacks. He lacks that upper body movement, like that stuff that Uzgadaji was doing. He was coming forward and almost doing circles with his hips, back and forth, ducking down while he's coming forward. That's what made him such a difficult fight for anybody. The way that he pressures is a lot different. Whereas Benavidez he's a little stiff. I mean, I hate to say guy's stiff, but he is stiff. He's stiff, man. He's pretty straight up and down when you look at it when he fights. He's not a straight up and down guy, but when he does come forward, he's just walking a dude down. He's not using that movement that Uzgadaji is using. So I hope you're right. I hope that he gives makes a good fight out of it. But he does have a much longer reach than Uzgadaji too. So that's gonna help be in his favor as well. But you know what I mean. So yeah, that's the reason why I think it is going to be, a little bit wider than people think. He's not the same come forward guy as Uzgadaji. I think Uzgadaji was you were saying he was a dark horse before. I didn't believe it until I saw it. And for sure, I think Uzgadaji was totally way underrated before that fight. Definitely. I think he's a lot better than people think. But
that's a good call, though. That's a good call because it is different styles. You're right. It is definitely different styles.
It's different. It was different the way that he was coming forward. He's a little bit more athletic than Benavidez. And, all right, let's talk about the main event, man, because how could you not? I'm sure you touched on a lot of different things, but, shit, I watched it at home, watched it with a couple friends, and these are people that never, ever watch boxing. And the one thing that I was talking Spence up a whole lot before the fight. I was like, this is going to be a fucking exciting fight regardless. I think that Spence might get him out of there late. If it's going to be anything, it's going to be real, real late, but expect some fireworks in the meantime. And even the way that the announcers were talking about Spence, everyone was saying afterwards, they were like, for what, they were talking about Spence and how you were hyping him and how his nickname is the truth and all that stuff. You're expecting more out of him. in the sense that, like, you know, I mean, everyone thought that Porter won. I mean, like, you know, but not, you know, but it's close though. Like we could, like most people. I mean, I would think most people are okay with, you know, Spence getting a split decision victory. You know, a close decision. You can see how a lot of those rounds could have gone either way, but. You know, that's what people were saying. These are people that are just like looking at it from, you know, they have zero bias whatsoever toward either guy who's looking at, you know, watch an exciting fight because I hyped it up as such. And, you know, it was just a little weird afterwards how, you know, after Pacquiao and Thurman, you know, there's so much talk about a rematch. And, like, it was clear that they wanted that beforehand. Whereas for this, yeah, a couple of people on Porter's side in the post-fight press conference talking about, you know, they were saying rematch. But it really didn't seem like that was a general consensus. And we got Danny Garcia coming into the ring acting like this wasn't a fucking 50-50 fight. They gotta run this back, man. They gotta run this back. I mean, how could you not give Porter a rematch after the performance that he just put on? I mean, it was, and this is coming from somebody, I thought that he was going to get stopped late. You know, originally before that, I thought that it was just going to be a decision win for him and for Spence. And I thought that it was, you know, he's going to lose maybe 4 or 5 rounds max, but that it was going to be pretty definitive, and that is what it is. And I thought the Porter was going to, you know, do a little bit of both of his styles, but not be so gung-ho and so relentless, you know. So, yeah, so that's coming from me. Like, and I honestly, you would have asked me, I think it was a draw. I believe it was a draw. And that with a knockdown making it a draw. You know, like, I think that Porter really, at the end of the day, Porter, I think he won like at least one more round. In my opinion, I really think that he won one more round than Spence, maybe even 2 more rounds. And if, you know, if people are going to say, well, you know, a knockdown isn't going to make a difference in that situation, yeah, sure. But hypothetically, Spence could have gotten the point taken away for the, you know, those 4 or 5 low blows in the beginning. Like, you know what I mean? He didn't get a point taken away for that. So, I mean, yeah, I believe that the knockdown did make the difference, but I think that Spence should have probably lost, to be honest with you, Ben. You know, because, yeah, they both weren't landing flush all the time, but his activity was just way too much, dude, way too much. How did you have it scored? Like, honestly, did you score to draw it too? I figured you probably would. I
didn't. I had it like 7-5 for Spence.
Okay. Yeah, like, see, even that, I would be like, okay, yeah, I get that.
I was definitely okay with the 6-6.
Yeah.
I didn't see 8 for necessarily either, but especially for Porter. I thought the body work Spence was more. And both of them hit each other with left hooks that were super flush. But I think the key, why I thought Spence won the fight was because at some point, and I think he'd do this more in the rematch, because one thing, Spence literally fought Porter's fight and gave him his own medicine. Like you said, he went low. Because remember going into this, Porter said, I've never been deducted for a point. So it's like, all right, dude, well, I'm going to do you then. And he did.
Yeah.
He was going like crazy. Like, there was a little bit of a minor headbutt early, and after that, Spence was like, all right, dude, screw this. And he was going low. He was going borderline. He was going hip. I mean, he was going every which way. They're both elbowing each other. It was just an old school, like, 50s type fight. But I did think Porter, that was his best performance ever, and here's why. Because he blended that outside-inside attack mode way better. You could see he did some of it against Danny, and it worked. Obviously, the Ugas thing, it didn't work nearly as much. That was just a weird style fight for both. But I liked how he blended it this fight. But I think what won it for me was the body shots from Spence, and also when Spence did that step aside or step back and we catch him with those left hooks, that was a little cleaner for me. You know what I mean? That was a little cleaner for me. But I mean, the amount of exchanges these dudes went. I just love that Spence said, like, for Spence to go fight Mikey style from the outside and try to outbox him, right? And in this fight, he's like, nope, I'm using your style, and I'm going to try to beat you with it. I don't think he'll go as nuts if they rematch. And I agree. Honestly, I'd rather see this rematch at this point than Danny Garcia. I think that would be good. I think that's a good call, and it's not completely out of the
no.
You know what I mean? Because they'll see what's going on online. And a lot of people are saying exactly what you said, dude. Like, hey, if we're going to Danny Garcia, let's go back to Porter and run it back. And now they're saying that it's trending over 300 and will fall short of 350. But, I mean, it did good at the box office. It did good on pay-per-view. Why not run it back? It was one of the best fights of the year, the best card of the year, probably the best card, and probably the best pay-per-view card. Like, in the last decade, how many pay-per-view cards were that entertaining? It's hard to find.
You remember.
You know what I mean?
I don't even remember a welterweight fight that was this much back and forth. And, like, the fact that Spence, like, and, like, even though I was expecting Spence to do a little bit better, I can't hate on his performance because he really stepped up to the plate and was like, fuck it, you want to do it this way? Then we're going to do it this way. And he fought just like how Porter fights too, but he was having a lot of problems with Porter's head movement. Porter's head movement was on it was like Mike Tyson times fucking 10. No bullshit. It was fucking amazing. And like, people I was watching it with too, they're like, wow, man, this short guy, he's like fucking like wow, like he's got a lot of dog in him. He's like a real fighter. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, this is vintage Sean Porter, but like perfect Sean Porter. What I found funny is
perfect.
I saw all those people that were hating on Sean Porter. I noticed a lot of them were being like, I didn't really care for his style until now. Like, all of a sudden now it's like, dude, if anyone has heard any of this shit I was saying about Sean Porter fucking 2 years ago, I was saying, like, dude, this guy is the most exciting fucking dude in boxing. I literally was saying I was literally kind of pissed off that he, boxed for, those couple fights that he did box.
Right.
And it's almost like maybe that was by design, just to like get him ready to, have to do a little bit of both in this. But
sure,
it was just a display of just a ton of heart. He did this really all on will and heart. I think that Spence should have won, right? But that, like, it should have only been like a 1 point thing. Like, I think it should have been 6-6, and that
sure, I did it.
Yeah, and then he would
114, 113.
Exactly. I think that would have been perfect. And running it back for a rematch, if you're going to do a rematch on fucking anything, do it on this. I mean, holy shit. It was a split
decision. So, yeah, I agree. And they already know it's going to sell. So you might as well do it, Yeah, I agree.
I mean, do you really think they're going to do it? I mean, it doesn't seem like they are. It seems like, and Kenny Porter was saying that after the fight, he's like, nah, they're not going to want to do it again. Like, they already have plans and whatnot. And that's what it seems like. It seems like they're not really interested in doing this again. I don't know. Like that wasn't the game.
You're right. It does seem like that. It definitely does seem like that. But, he won the fight, so it's not like they could be like, hey, Danny, hold on. It was closer than we thought. Let's pull him out of the ring. You know what I mean? Like, so. Yeah, I don't know. It does seem like they're going for it, though. You are right. It does seem like.
You think it would be jumping the gun a little bit for me to, because at first I was like, man, I mean, I can't be disappointed. How can you be disappointed with a fucking outcome with a fight like this? I mean, it was just both guys really, really gave us, as fans, they really, really, really they went above and beyond. It was really, really awesome. So I can't hate on it, but like I was saying about Thurman, not being able to, do anything with Pacquiao and sort of getting dominated by him, I looked at this like, shit, man, like, the fuck? I thought Spence was supposed to be the truth, man. What the fuck's going on? What are going on with these welterweights? But I can't say that because that would be taking away from what Porter just did, man. It's fucking amazing what this guy just fucking did. And the fact that
he didn't use his natural length. He didn't try to, just counter him and do stuff like that. And you're never going to be able to keep Porter off you the whole fight. It's just impossible. But to me, I think in the rematch, he wouldn't go so headstrong. I'm sitting right here with you. I think he would.
You think that would work? You think he'd be able to do that and, be able – I mean, I don't know if his output would be enough to win on the card. I don't know.
He's thrown 1,000 punches before in a fight. So, and he actually threw one more punch. They both threw like over 750, but I think he could do that little step aside and half a step back counter. I really think he could do that and jab and not be so forceful of coming forward, because there was times where he's just sitting right there and he could have clinched. He could have turned him. I mean, he did that later. I thought Porter, that was another thing we got to talk about. Porter did that quick turn and, turn the guy. That worked plenty. Now, sometimes he took advantage of it. Sometimes he didn't. But I just think that to win it more cleanly, because, obviously Spence listens to what people say about him. Obviously. Yeah. These last two fights have admitted or shown it, because, remember, they were saying that this guy's just a mauler. So what did he do against Mikey? He boxed. He used distance. Then he turned it on in the second half. This one, he turned it on from the start and just sat right in there. Now, I think because people say, oh, he got hit, he got this, he got that. Well, if you fight that kind of style, you're going to get hit a lot. And so I think he'll adjust a little bit. Now, I don't think he can – I'm not saying he's going to be moving like Thurman the whole time, but I do think he can measure it a little bit different. But, with all this online stuff and the negativity that Danny Garcia brought to some people when they saw him in the ring, I wouldn't be shocked if they ran it back, man. I really wouldn't. People didn't think that Maidana Mayweather was going to run it back, and I don't know. I'm not really sure, man. But one thing is they got this thing in their back pocket. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. And it's just whenever Spence would do his thing and, like you said, not clinch, just stay there right in the pocket, shoulder to shoulder, and was just like, fight on the inside. Real surprising how he was doing that. And, whenever he would do that and he would, push Porter against the ropes, what would Porter do? He would turn him and boom, give it to him right back every time. He was like, dude, all right, you're going to win that minute, I'm going to win the next minute. Like, it was a real fight. And it wasn't one of those rock and sock thing. It was far from that. It was a crazy display of skill at the same time, and conditioning by both guys.
Yeah. And
it was almost like I felt like Spence was a bit uncomfortable. He was breathing real heavy. The last 5 rounds, both of them were, and I felt like he wasn't as comfortable as Porter. But you are right. He was stepping towards him the entire time. Porter was just doing such a great job of giving it back to him and just fucking being awkward. And it's one of those things where I look at it and I'm like, how well could have anyone done against Porter, on that night?
Yeah, that style.
Take a look at Floyd.
Plan. You're right, dude.
When Floyd fought Maidana right around that time, how would he have dealt with this Porter, that much of changing levels, that relentless, fucking going forward? What would he have done? I guess he would just continue to hold Porter. I mean, I guess that's the only thing that he would do. I guess he would just turn into a somewhat boring fight, a Kell Brook type style fight.
Yeah.
I guess that's how he would have won. I guess that's the only way to really mitigate that, or make it less severe and whatnot. I guess it's the only thing that Floyd would have done.
I don't think Thurman would have won if he was a little bit more under control against Thurman, because I had that 7-5. But if he was a little bit more controlled and didn't get countered as much as he did in that fight, I think he beats Thurman. I think he beats Thurman right now. I think he beats Thurman now.
I think he beats pretty much everybody. Besides Crawford and Spence. But I mean, dude, I know you probably touched on this, but Jesus Christ, what about the chin on Porter? Wow, are you fucking kidding me? This guy, he didn't even fucking go down on that punch.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was barely even a knockdown, even though you see it and you're like, oh my God, he turned him into that Jamie Foxx character on In Living Color.
Yeah.
Shanae or whatever the hell her name was. Shanae, was that it? But dude, I mean, You're right.
Dude,
he got right up. Like, if you didn't see it live, you're kind of looking at going, oh, that was a knockdown? It didn't even seem like a knockdown once you saw the replay. Then you said, oh, shit, that was a knockdown. But, yeah, dude, you're right. I mean, both these dudes got hit with left hooks so hard, dude. I mean,
and the fact that he was, I mean, that was so dope. The fact that he fucking got up. I actually had the fucking, the whole fight on a repeat on one of my computers in the background all day the other day. Like, I literally, like, yesterday. I just had it on repeat in the background. I was like, dude, like, you know, like, there's just so, and like that, when he got knocked down, and the fact that he was like, you know, he got caught, and he was just like, he literally just, he got back up, and he was like, fuck it, come on, come at me. Like, you know, he was like yelling at him, like, let's do this. And then he goes back at fucking Spence.
Yeah.
You know, like, it was like, wow, like, what a fucking display of just heart and just like, you know, just like, dude, not taking no for an answer. Like, he really, it's like, wow, dude, I really didn't think that he'd be able to take that kind of punch like that. Not even, I mean, barely, I mean, I think his knee barely touched the canvas. It was just like, wow. Oh, my God, man, that was a perfect shot, the way that his fucking head moved. And just, I didn't know he had that in him, man. I really didn't know that he had that in him. And I know that a lot of people are respecting him now, especially a lot of these haters. I never understood why people, like, hated on his style. But at least now they understand, like why that style is what it is, why it's fucking great, like, why he's a special fighter. Like, I hope they understand. They should. I mean, I haven't seen anything negative about him at all, right? About Porter online. It's been all fucking flying colors for him, right?
Yeah. No, it has. You're right. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah. The thing about Porter's style, I think we talked about this before. It's like, dude, go back to the black and white footage. Go back to the 30s and 50s. This is what basically everybody fought like, dude. Like, they were rabbit punching each other all fucking day. Like, if you had Sugar Ray Robinson, you had a couple other dudes that could move, but for the most part, dude, back in the day, you know, the generation and the era that we look up to as boxing fans, right, from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, right, all that stuff, that's all they did is stood right in front of each other and rabbit punch each other. Like, they were rough as hell, dude. That's all they did, and so that's why it makes me laugh so much that you can't appreciate or at least respect, you don't have to appreciate, but at least respect what Porter does in the ring. And that's also why I wasn't mad when Spence gave him his own medicine, because it's like, I do, well, this is how you got to deal with Porter. Like, he's never, like I mentioned earlier, he never got a point deducted in a fight, which is crazy. He should have. But I'm okay with Spence doing it because he's done it for a lot of his career. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Yeah. I love the skill fest. We talk about skill fest against skill fest all the time in certain matchups. Doesn't happen much, but when we do, we're all excited for it. But I also like this. Go ahead.
But, like, everything you said, but, like, how often do you see this type of shit but with athleticism at the same time? Literally jumping at dudes. Like, you know, they do say, you know, Teddy Atlas always talking about how, like, you know, he's going to get caught with something. He lunges in, blah, 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 and all that stuff. Well, I mean, it seems to be working for him. It seems to, I mean, yeah, he did get caught with that punch, like, in the 11th round. But, hey, when you got a chin like that, why the hell wouldn't you take those kind of risks? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, he's mixing athleticism with you know, that roughhousing style. Like, that's why I really do think it's something unique. A lot of those 30s and 40s fights, from what I've seen, like, I don't see the type of athleticism that he uses at the same time. Right. You know, like, it was more like mauling and stuff like that, and a lot of inside shit, shoulder to shoulder stuff, like, you know, just roughing a dude up, and not this fucking crazy head movement, like, you know, and like, it just, how can you prepare for something like this? You know, this type of Sean Porter. I guess he really just stepped up to the plate when he just realized how much of an underdog he was. I think he was a 4-1 underdog.
I think he got all the way to 5-1, dude.
Yeah, even the night of the fight, I think he was still minus or no, plus 350. I'm pretty sure plus 370 the night of the fight. It could have been worse. I mean, it wasn't. Right. It didn't get any better. You know, like, it was. Yeah, dude. It's you know. They got to run this back. I don't know what it did for you as far as did it change your perception at all about the outcome of Crawford and Spence? That's the real question.
It didn't. Well, I don't have an outcome. First of all, I'm still rocking my 50-50 brain on that. To be honest with you,
and that hasn't changed, right?
It hasn't changed because I don't think Spence will fight that way against him. You know what I mean? I think he'll fight a lot smarter fight, and he'll have to, because you're not going to go headhunting, or not headhunting, but you're not going to go just raging in against a multi-purpose fighter like that. You know what I mean? But also, we've never seen, and this is the whole thing, when people say, oh, Terrence is number one after that performance. Okay, but has he faced a guy like Porter, though?
No way.
What would he have done with Porter that night?
That's why they got to do this. That's why they got to fucking, I wish they weren't such good of friends. I mean, Crawford has said multiple times he doesn't want to fight Porter. They're too good of friends.
He did. Yeah.
But Porter said, like, hey, if we got to fight, we're going to fight. And that would be a fight to fucking make. Fuck Kell Brook. I mean, that's the fight to make. Porter and Crawford, really, that would be a great, build-up fight for sure, just to see how he deals with it. If he can, he can really
measuring stick. It's a great measuring stick to separate yourself from Thurman and from Spence if you do it cleaner,
Yeah. How are you going to catch him flush? How are you going to catch fucking Porter flush? I was thinking that the whole time. Like, his height works to his advantage. He changes levels as much as he should. He uses more feints than anyone else in the division. He is so unpredictable. How are you going to get him flush? It was tough for Spence got him flush a bunch of times because of how talented Spence is. But, even with Crawford, I mean, it's how can you predict where his head is going to be, where his chin is going to be? I mean, even the way that he got him in that 11th round, that was crazy impressive. And the fact that Spence still had that kind of power that late in the fight, that is also very telling. Like, it's for real. He's in the 11th round after 11 rounds like that. He was able to hit him that fucking hard. Wow. But yeah, that would be awesome if they could just, if they could do, if they could do Crawford and Porter, that would be like amazing if they could. But they at least need to run this back. Porter deserves it. I think there are enough people that think that he edged it out, to a degree. I know that a lot of people are talking draw. A lot of people, even with the knockdown, with the knockdown.
It was a split decision, so they do have that in the history books. It's a split decision. So yeah, I hear that. I would not complain about that. That is for damn sure. I'd be pumped about that, and it would just do that much, because when you imagine during the NFL playoffs, and because during, from the conference finals to the Super Bowl, there's a 2-week gap, and that's when Spence is going to fight that Saturday in between,
Yeah.
And imagine getting to show those highlights during an NFL game, and it's part 2. I mean, for the people that didn't see it, they're going to be like, oh, my God, dude. These dudes are just raging, just that alone,
And when is the last time we saw a fight where immediately after the fight, during the interview in the ring afterwards, the chick says, she's like one of the most, what did she say? One of the most exciting welterweight fights in the history, probably, in the sport. I mean, whether or not that's true, which probably is true, like, for someone to come out and say that, right after a fight, I've never heard that shit before. I mean, you tell me, have you ever seen a more exciting, like, welterweight fight than this? Like, as far as two-way action goes, like, I don't think I have.
I mean, I'll say this: Thurman and Pacquiao, they both landed a bunch of punches on each other too. That was a damn
that
good
was great.
Too,
that was great.
But you're right; they're not.
But this is up
Pacquiao,
there with Leonard and Hearns one, right? That's the one where
Cotto Margarito.
Yeah, one, yeah.
Well, and Leonard and Hearns. Oh yeah,
that was the first one.
But you look back at Leonard and Hearns one. It had moments where it dragged on because Tommy was out boxing Sugar Ray Leonard for a while. So it didn't have that two-way action.
Oh, yeah.
It was dramatic. It was dramatic because Sugar Ray Leonard hurt him, but then he'd go back to 3 or 4 rounds of Tommy out jabbing him. Then he'd hurt him again, and that type of thing. So,
and then Leonard came back. It was like
Yep.
it was a dramatic fight in that sense, but like as far as the action goes, like
the whole time, right?
Like to and from, like I don't know, man. I haven't seen anything like this, and it's really. Really, I don't think people are exaggerating when they say this, man. It's, I mean,
Thurman Porter was damn good too. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's really there's not. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's up there. I mean, obviously, I'll say this: Oscar De La Hoya and Mosley was fought at welterweight, and those were damn good fights too.
Oh yeah. De La Hoya and Mosley. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, that was we could coming on 20 years ago, but still.
Yeah, and I don't fully remember like exactly like how that first Mosley and De La Hoya fight went. I just had remembered that. I remember the second fight, but I don't remember the first one being as exciting as this. I don't. Neither of them got knocked down or anything like that, but it was yeah.
No, you're right. I guess I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. And like I said, Cotto Margarito was at welterweight. That was a damn good fight. Cotto Pacquiao was a damn good fight. Well, Marquez, it only lasted 6 rounds, but Marquez and Pacquiao 4 was a damn good fight.
Oh,
it's up there, though. You're right, dude.
This was just so even. I guess it was the most evenly, just back and forth, and from start to finish. Even right now, I have it playing on that same computer on literally on repeat. I made sure to fucking, save that MP4 file. This goes in the classic folder that I have, all the classic fights. Like, this is one of them. And it's like, literally every single time I look over at it, it's fucking action. It's 100% action every second of the round, of every round, dude. Like, I don't know, man. It's, dude. It's one of those fights I'm going to watch, for, years on end, for sure. Definitely.
One thing we can say for sure, if you look at the last 10 years, I'd really like to see the top to bottom pay-per-view that beat this. I really want to see that. I don't remember it offhand, but it's slim pickings from top to bottom. This for a main event to come together like that and actually just hit, right? And then for the co-features to be interesting and brawls and this and that. I mean, it was damn good. It was damn good on paper, but then it lived up to the hype. How many things in boxing on pay-per-view live up to the hype? And that's why I was kind of like sick of hearing people complaining about this. It's like, well, dude, how many times have we watched, Mayweather against Robert Guerrero, Pacquiao against Clottey, Pacquiao against Algieri? Like, we've had plenty of stay busy pay-per-views too. Let's not act like they were all worthy of pay-per-view. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people were burnt and pissed, and ultimately people were really burnt about Mayweather and Pacquiao, if we're honest. So that's why I was okay with this main event pay-per-view, because I knew it'd be a good fight. Now, I didn't know it'd be that great, but yeah, man, that was awesome. That was awesome.
Imagine being there. I mean, if there's a rematch, if that's going to be at the Staples Center or wherever this is at Staples Center, right? I'm going to that for sure, 100%. I mean, cause you could see
I may have to join you in that, dude.
Yeah, man, the energy in the fucking in the audience, you could see like people were just like, from the 6th, 7th round on, people were on their feet. They were like, holy shit! Like, people knew what they were watching. I usually don't like to watch, things live, because I remember you mentioned Pacquiao Clottey. What's funny is I was at that fight in Dallas, and I had like awesome seats. Like, we were pretty close. I was only like 3 rows back. I was like right there. I had awesome seats, and like. I had remembered, like, I didn't even realize I remember thinking like Clottey had like won or something. Like, I thought it was ridiculous because like, you're looking up at the.
They just couldn't see it, right?
Yeah, like, even though I had awesome seats, it was just like they were only showing replays of him just countering Pacquiao, and it was just like, even though you're right there, all these people that say like, oh, dude, no, I was there at the fight. It's like, dude, this isn't 1997 anymore. You can't say that. We get a much better view at home, dude. It's like,
that's true.
This is one of those things where the energy, you could tell it was fucking insane. And, I can't hate on Spence. I mean, he did a fucking amazing job. It was just, I just felt like Porter.
There's no losers in this one, dude.
Definitely not. I mean, it's Yeah, hopefully. I mean, Porter. I mean, it wouldn't be bad for them if he's gonna fight. If Spence is gonna fucking fight Garcia, then, dude, give Porter the Pacquiao fight. Who the hell is not gonna buy that at this particular point in time? Porter,
True.
Looking like that against fucking Pacquiao. Like, if Pacquiao is willing to take that fight, why not? There's a lot of like, I guess, different variations that you could look at, but yeah, man, it's amazing fight, dude. It's yeah, man, yeah. So I'm glad you did the show tonight, and I wouldn't have to wait until fucking Wednesday to do it. It's Monday, right? I know. Is that the reason why you did it, or just because you're like just caught up?
It just worked because my college football host, he's actually in watching. He's gonna watch the baseball wild card game with the Nationals. So he flew out there really quick. So we're gonna do the show on Wednesday or Thursday. So I was like, you know what? Screw it, dude. I'm doing it tonight.
Fuck yeah! Why wait?
Just get it out there.
Exactly. I know, man. I know. Awesome. Shit.
Anything else that you want to talk about? We do have Golovkin and
weekend.
Derevyanchenko and whatever. We do have Derevyanchenko and Golovkin on DAZN, and then Clarissa Shields is dropping down another weight class to fight on Showtime. That's basically what we have for this weekend. Now, next weekend's light, but then we got Voshtik Beterbiev. We got Taylor Prograis. We got some.
Oh my God, Voshtik Beterbiev is next week, the weekend after.
I think it's the 19th. I
wow.
want to say it's the 19th. Yeah, 19th. Yeah, dude. ESPN. That's on normal ESPN. Finally, normal ESPN's gonna have a good fight.
Now that's that Beterbiev and Voshtik is on ESPN.
Yep. That's straight up ESPN.
Shit. Yeah, that's a fucking fight that, the sport needs right now. All the shit that I was talking last time I called in, I'm like, dude, man, come on, give me. So that's a fight. That's two dudes in their fucking prime. Like, that's fucking awesome right there. But yeah, for Derevyanchenko and Golovkin, it's like I'm looking forward to this fight for a couple of reasons. Just really because, I mean, as much as I've hated on Golovkin in the past, and for good reason, really, because you look at his resume and whatnot. It's actual real dude on his fucking resume. You know what I mean? This guy he's been, the only time he was knocked down, I think, was against Jacobs, right, in that first round when he got hit with that wild overhand right, I think, in the first round. And he won enough rounds after that. I think that he won. In my opinion, I think he won a good 6 rounds, maybe only 5. But he did. He was only a split decision win for Jacobs. But that was the only time that he ever went down was in that first round, and that was kind of a real wild shot, which Golovkin doesn't really throw anything too wild like that. He doesn't really have the reach that Jacobs does. So it's a real test for Golovkin to see really where he's at as far as the division in general, like as far as because if you look at it, who are the other guys that Golovkin fought that weren't already knocked out already? I don't know. I mean, there was Vanis, right? There was Kell Brook, which Kell Brook doesn't really count. There was Dominic Wade. Can we really count that?
No.
And then Martin Murray, I think, is the only other guy, and he gets credit for that. But Martin Murray was a little bit past it, and he already had a few losses. It was a late stoppage, as far as that goes. But he deserves credit for that. But at the end of the day, besides that, those are the only guys that he fought that actually were knocked out before. Everybody else is fucking knocked out already. I'm pretty sure everyone else is already knocked out. I don't know. Curtis Stevens, I'm pretty sure he was already knocked out already too, right? I don't know. But that was a weird fight too. But I don't know. I mean, I look at it from that perspective, and I see the way that Derevyanchenko was countering Jacobs. Jacobs was trying to, sort of dominate him in those middle late rounds, but Derevyanchenko is doing a real good job of countering him. He has a really, really nice short left hook that he counters dudes with, and he had to, he did a lot of shit that kept Jacobs honest. And I think that Golovkin's
he had to close strong to win it too, Jacobs. I mean, he really had to. Same with Suleski. He had to close strong in both those fights. But Derevyanchenko, obviously, we're talking about him. But from my understanding, they have sparred a fair amount too. So maybe that will help Golovkin, somewhat, because he's already maybe made minor adjustments or know what's coming, or it could really help, Derevyanchenko too.
Derevyanchenko sparred with Golovkin a lot?
I don't know about a lot, but I've seen some pictures lately that you could tell that they had sparred. I don't know how much, though.
Yeah. Derevyanchenko, what makes me, because really I'm debating whether or not he is going to get stopped in these later rounds. I know we touched on this before. I believe that Golovkin can get him out of there late. I really, really do. But the more that I look at it, it's like I'm really not sure. I can see it. I can see him going the distance for sure against Golovkin and actually, surprising Golovkin and winning a lot more rounds. I could see it actually being a 7-5 actually, kind of closer kind of fight. But when you look at how Derevyanchenko is, it seems like he doesn't have the height and he doesn't really have the reach, and he kind of is sort of like he's not straight up and down because he does move around a lot and he does, change levels and stuff, and he has good he does everything good, you know what I mean? And he's got a good work rate. I guess that's his thing. That's his main attribute. He's got a good work rate. He's given Jacobs problems that I think I'm going to choose. I think it's going to be, just a decision win for Golovkin, and I see him maybe knocking him down once. But he doesn't seem like the type of dude to and even that knockdown, I don't know if you remember it, the one that Jacobs got on him, it was a real wild fucking overhand right, man. It wasn't the type of punch that Golovkin would throw. It wasn't one of those things, and I don't see him really being just folding and just being like, oh, fuck it, just because he gets hurt a couple times by Golovkin. I feel like this is his chance to really, get those big paydays and really make a name for himself. And he knows that no one's expecting him to fucking win, So I think it's going to be a lot tougher than people think. And the fact that Golovkin got into shit with his own, I don't know if you know any details about that, but didn't he give them shit about it, or he was threatening to file suit against them or something like that because he has to even fight Derevyanchenko and not Canelo?
Well, I think that if he wasn't going to get Canelo, he wanted a belt. He was guaranteed a belt fight, which this is what Derevyanchenko is, because the IBF stripped Canelo.
Oh, okay.
Because it was supposed to be potentially, not supposed to be, but they were in talks, Canelo and Derevyanchenko, shortly, and they figured out we'll just get it done for Mexican Independence Week, and then it wasn't, and then they dropped him. So that's where Canelo kind of came out too. But Golovkin is also like, well, dude, I got to get a big fight too because I just fought Stevie Rolls, and I'm not going to do that again. So give me something. So that's where that is. In his last fight, Derevyanchenko, he did fight in April, which is good, obviously.
Against Jack Colque, the guy that gave fucking Andre.
Andre, yep. Right? He basically gives everybody fucking. He did good, but he got buzzed and hurt pretty bad late in the fight. Here's the thing: Derevyanchenko, from the 6th round on, does start to fade in fights, and this is probably not a guy you want to fade against. Yeah. So I'm thinking it's going to be either a late TKO. Or maybe just down the stretch, he's just going to barely make it. So I'm on the same page with you, though, for a lot of what you say.
I think
he
might
does
go
fade.
Down.
He does have a track record of fading.
Chances of him going down are pretty high. It's just a matter of whether or not he's going to be able to actually pull through and actually survive and make it through it. I'm like 80-90% that he's going to fucking go down at least once. I do see a late stop, and I think that would do a lot for Golovkin's career, believe it or not. Just for all the haters and people that, just thought that Golovkin was just completely just a complete hype job. There's a hell of a lot more of those people now than there were before. I think, people that are actually paying attention to the division, they know how good Derevyanchenko is. If he gets him out of there late, which I hope that he does, just to even make the Canelo fight even more enticing in the future. I think that would be great. It would at least for me, it would be it would be like, okay, then I would be like, okay, well, he's a good fighter. He's he is what everyone was claiming that he was. But if it's just some back and forth shit and he wins 7 rounds, but that it's like Danny Jacobs type of win against him, then we know where he's at. Then we know that he's really on Danny Jacobs type of level, and which is still good, but it's not then Canelo really is the man, as far as that goes, out of all 3 of those guys,
Yeah.
That's what I think. Yeah, so that's definitely my prediction on that. I'm excited for that. I've been looking forward to that. I think we were the only ones saying. Yeah. It's an actual fucking fight. It's not not some random ass dude that's been stopped before. It's not a guaranteed stoppage by any means whatsoever at all.
And it's cool for Derevyanchenko. He's making like $5.5 million or $5 million for this fight, dude.
Oh, awesome. I think we were the only ones, too, that were actually saying, like, dude, this would be a good fight for Golovkin. I think everyone else is looking at it like, what the hell? I mean, this kind of sucks. Like, or at least from what I've seen. I don't know if people are really hyped about this fight. Like, people weren't even talking about it beforehand. I guess they're not really, maybe because they weren't paying attention to how good Derevyanchenko did against Jacobs. I don't know. I don't know how to really gauge that, but... And as far as
maybe it's because he's with Heyman, I don't know. I really don't know why.
Yeah, who knows? And because it seems like there's nothing special about him. You know what I mean? It's
you're right.
Just his activity, his work rate. It's just it seems like there's nothing special. But he's I think people will see this weekend exactly like who he is and whatnot. What else happened, dude? As far as like news goes, man, like I don't know who else you got waiting for the calls, but if you got a couple minutes, if there's any bullshit.
Yeah, we got a couple minutes. Not a whole lot happened. They announced the Wilder Ortiz rematch, but we knew that was coming, so nothing crazy there. It does sound like Pacquiao obviously wants the Mayweather fight. But it sounds like it's going to be Pacquiao, and now that if in fact it's Spence Garcia, then it may, Danny Garcia, then it may be Pacquiao and Mikey. So that's being talked about as well. But other than that,
why? And what's the basis behind that? They're just looking at. I don't know why Pacquiao would do that fight, because that's pretty much that he's good. I mean, I don't know if he can win that fight, dude. The fucking basically, because Danny, I mean, he has a perfect style to beat Pacquiao. You know what I mean? You can't pull some Thurman shit on him. Like, I mean, Mikey, I'm talking about, not Danny. It's.
I just think the size.
It's a good fight.
The size. I like the fight.
Oh yeah. I like the fight. I just think it's not.
I think they could sell it. They could sell it, obviously. So I think it all kind of plays in there. Remember, that's who Pacquiao was coming to see with Spencer Garcia. He was coming to see Mikey Garcia, and hopefully he was doing good, because you saw when they asked him in the ring, hey, you want Spence? He's like, yeah, for sure, maybe, possibly. Let me check I'll get back to you. You know what I mean? So he probably just wants another payday or two before he were to have to fight Spence. Obviously, he's hanging out for Mayweather too. That'd be the ultimate fight for him. But I don't know. If he loses that fight, though, which is, that's a 50-50 fight in my opinion. Mikey against Pacquiao, I've always thought that was a 50-50 fight, man. That's tough, man. That's a tough fight for Pacquiao. I agree.
It's not easy at all. So
no.
When you look at it from that perspective, if it is Pacquiao's last fight on his contract, if that's true, then of course he doesn't give a shit. One last payday, one last good payday. But as far as Mikey goes, what does that do for the division? It doesn't do shit, because he just got dominated by Spence. So we don't really give a shit. Like, you know what I mean? If he wins, like, it's not like I'm going to be like, oh, I want to see him against Spence again. No one's fucking saying that. Other than him against Danny, I was never really gung-ho about that, just because the styles are like, two counter-punchers.
That's true. So, that is true.
What does it do as far as that goes? And then it also, me being selfish as a fan and whatnot, like, I want to see I don't want to give Mikey any choices, because I want him to fucking fight at 140 and go to DAZN and fight fucking these other guys, fight whoever wins, whoever wins in the,
Right.
whoever wins the tournament, whoever wins that, because he could fight those guys. We know he's not going to fight Ortiz, but, just to at least throw him in that mix, it's that would be cool to see him go to 140. I mean, if he loses that fight, it's only good if Pacquiao wins. If Pacquiao were to win that fight against Mikey, then it would be good. But it's not but that's not guaranteed at all. In fact, I would actually favor Mikey, to a little bit. I would favor him just a little bit. It's just not a guaranteed win for him, dude. I mean, at least do Danny Garcia. You could probably win on activity if he fights him, but that'll be a good fight regardless. And who knows? Maybe after this performance, maybe they're looking at Spence a little bit different, but probably not. They're probably still scared of him. There's a whole southpaw thing. When the last time you saw Pacquiao fight a southpaw? He's even said it himself that he's very uncomfortable with southpaws. I think he ducked. Who's the dude that beat Eric Morales after he lost to Eric Morales? Zaire Rahim.
There it is, Rahim. Yep.
Yeah, he was scared of his style. I mean, it's just they're afraid of dudes that can move. They're afraid of that type of style. I mean, they're not going to take the Spence fight anyway. It's not like Zaire Rahim is similar to Spence or anything, but just that type of athletic style. They've always been staying away from that. I just don't see that happening, dude.
I just think that obviously we know why Mikey would take it, because it's the biggest money fight out there, and it would make him bigger if he won the fight. And also they want to sell. I mean, Pacquiao needs to be on pay-per-view, so they want a good B-side, which he is, and he's known as the Mexicutioner. You know what I mean? So I think it's just one of those things that you're right. If Mikey wins, they can't put Mikey and Spence together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I hear that. I guess that gets us closer to the Spence Crawford. That's the only thing it does do. It gets us a step closer. So there's a positive.
I mean, more and more though, don't you feel like Spence Crawford isn't going to happen? I feel like he's going to move up. He's going to move up before him. Spence is going to end up moving up. I mean, it does make sense in the sense that like what Bob says, hey man, if Spence wants these big paydays, this is the fucking big payday. Regardless, it's not going to be Pacquiao Mayweather money, but it's the most amount of money he's going to fucking make if he wants to make a shitload of money in this division.
Yeah, it's Pacquiao, right?
Yeah, you can't get the Pacquiao fight, you might as well just take this one. That makes sense, but I don't know, man. I just don't see that. I just feel like he's going to move up. He's already talking about 154. He's already talking about that shit. He's been making this way for a long time. I just don't see that, man. I really do.
He's been making it without a nutritionist?
Oh, yeah.
So that kind of tells me he could make it for an extra fight or two if he gets a nutritionist. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's hard to think that fight something, that it's not going to happen until 2021. You know what I mean? It's definitely hard not to think about.
And the way that they're talking about it, I had remembered a while ago. I think when Tracy Morgan was on Stern, he was on Howard, a few months ago. It wasn't recent.
Mm-hmm.
It was a few months ago, and he was talking about DAZN. He's like, oh yeah, I'm the spokesperson for DAZN. I'm doing some work with them, whatever. I'm the guy. He does some promotional stuff for DAZN. And Howard was like, what's DAZN? He's like, oh, well, they show boxing. It's a new place for boxing. And Howard's like, oh, what the hell is going on with boxing? What the hell? People still box? He's joking about it. And then, Tracy was like, no, dude, this fight is fucking Spence Crawford. That's the fight. And, he was describing it. And so, the fact that you have these, A-list celebrities, pretty much everybody talking about Crawford and Spence, and both guys know it, they're expecting such huge paydays, $20 million paydays plus. That's not going to fucking happen, man. They're going to have to be happy with getting $5-6 million a pop and just hoping on a big pay-per-view. I mean, I don't know what the numbers would be, but they're not going to make that kind of money. I mean, I don't think
they're not going to be able to do a million pay-per-view until 2021, to be honest with you. Yeah. If they could even do that. But, the difference is they will have ESPN and Fox behind it, which is something we can't say that was there before. So that does help. I mean, look at this shit. They're saying this went over 300,000. Now, a couple years ago on the HBO model, or even the Showtime to an extent, there's no way this Porter fight would have Spence Porter would have went, to this level. I mean, look at Kovalev Ward. Kovalev Ward didn't even hit 200,000 in the old without the promotion. And now that they got Fox, if you got Fox and ESPN pushing a fight, just like they're going to have Wilder Fury if it happens, obviously. Wilder's got to get through Ortiz. But I agree, and that's why I think that they're waiting. Not any of that, but if we're honest, it's a 60-40 fight. You know what I mean? It's not a 50-50 money-wise. I'm not talking about in the ring.
Yeah.
But it's not in – Bob Arum in the last year has gone from we're the big platform, we're the big boys, we're not playing in the minor leagues anymore. The fight would happen late 2019 or 2020 when it's ready to do well on pay-per-view, right? Then he's saying now, in the last couple of months, he's saying, all right, let's split the platform. We could do it 50-50. Let's go. There's no reason. Well, it's not a 50-50 fight. I know people don't want to hear that, but it's not. And when they say Wilder Fury, oh, look, they're doing a split. Fox and ESPN, they're doing a split. Well, this is different, though, isn't it, Mark? First of all, they already fought. Without Bob Arum being around. Mm-hmm. And they were 50-50, right? Then they got a rematch all the way down to the drafted contracts, 50-50. Both of them were getting 50-50. And the contract was in his hand for 5 days or whatever, as they say, and then he signed with ESPN. So when you already have the thing negotiated, it's a lot easier to do business with Al Heyman and Bob Arum when the thing's already negotiated, and they've already fought. And the negotiation, dude, the winner gets 60-40 on the trilogy. They got that in the negotiation.
Really? That the winner gets... I don't think that would be the first time in the history, I think, because I think no one's ever done that before. You know, the winner gets a certain amount.
I'm saying on the third fight. It's 50-50 straight up. But if there is a third fight, if there's a need for it, the winner of the second fight would get 60-40. So that's already negotiated, though. This thing hasn't even been touched. The only thing that Bob Arum has done is called Danny Garcia's dad and offered him $3 million when they gave Khan $5.5. Offered him $3 million for a pay-per-view that was going to happen in March, a week later than Spence and Garcia, which you knew that wasn't going to happen, obviously.
Yeah, and you could tell his desperation levels because before the Amir Khan fight, what was he saying? He was like, I'm gonna call Al this on Monday, right after the fight. It's like, whatever happened with that phone call? How come we get the details about that, Bob? Like, what the hell? How come I mean, these none of these reporters. How come, like,
you saw him? He doesn't exist. He's the evil of boxing. He was saying all sorts of shit about Al. It's like, see, that's how you're going to negotiate. Say he's basically like the evil empire of boxing. Like, that's how you're going to do that. Come on.
Oh, dude, and also, too, before I forget, notice how, Bob, a while ago, he was saying how, when they were asking him about, Dana White and, the UFC, the people that bought the UFC or whatever, they were looking at both him, they were looking at both Top Rank, looking to acquire either Top Rank or PBC. They were looking at both of them. And he said that, something had happened and that, they decided to pull out, but they were looking at their businesses. They were looking to acquire one of them. This is around the time that, you were saying, like, there's stuff about Dana White getting involved in boxing. So that all made sense. Then if you fast forward just a couple weeks ago when they were asking Bob about that, he said, he was like, his tone completely changed. And he was like, dude, like, he literally said, he basically says, like, oh, well, they want to get into boxing. Yeah, now they want to get into boxing, but they got to look at how much that's going to affect, for what they're trying to plan, how that's going to actually work out with the Muhammad Ali Act. Remember when he said that? So now he's all, like, negative on it, which means that they, like, basically, like, they didn't want to show any interest. Like, they basically, like, were like, okay, we don't want to, like, fuck with Top Rank anymore. So then I think that they're basically only, like focusing on PBC because Dana White, did you hear Dana White on Chris Mannix's podcast a few weeks back? he goes, he said that they are getting into boxing. They're going to make a big announcement in October. I don't know if you heard that. It was
yeah, he said that he's going to announce his the guy that's going to run it for him.
Yeah, so I think that you're right. I think that they are going to jump in. I think that they are going to grab PBC. That's what it sounds like.
And the guy that would run it for him is Al Heyman.
Yeah. Have you spoken about this on the show? Like, I mean, how, or is this kind of just really just sort of just connecting the dots? We don't know what the hell is going on. Or is there actual...
Yeah, I talked about it on the show when it first started surface. Actually, like a couple of weeks after the McGregor-Mayweather is when he started saying he's getting into boxing. And then we started hearing about the Endeavor purchase and all that, and that they're purchasing PBC and all that. And remember, when the UFC was negotiating a deal with Fox and or ESPN, the whole time Dana White was like, these reports are false, this, that, and the third. We're not selling this, that, and the third. And then they fucking sold. You know what I mean? So he's not going to sit there and tell you what he's doing, But my thing is, if he's going to make a splash, you're not going to make a splash on the UFC Fight Pass, okay? You're just not. I'm not saying it's not a decent outlet, but you're not going to make a splash. And the splash he's talking about, like, who out there needs a mouthpiece and has the deepest talent? Well, it's the PBC. So I don't, you know what I mean?
And how Bob said, he literally, I think his exact words where he was like, we'll see how Dana reacts when he gets whatever, some legal term like up the ass for fucking trying to do what he does in the UFC to boxing. We'll see what happens when he tries to do that. In a sense, like, almost like pissed, like, like, shit, they're actually going to do this, and we're going to have to fight back and make sure they don't, like, pull this off.
He's getting ahead of it. He's getting ahead of it, act like it's not hurting him or whatever. But you know what? Also in that court case with the Golden Boy when they tried to sue Al even said on the stand, and other people around him said during the discovery time, he said that there is a possibility, like the idea was to time buy and flip it into a deal, but there is a potential that he would turn into a promoter, that he would actually change to a promoter, and that way you're not the manager-promoter thing, because that 15%, anything with the time buys, that 15% had to go to the PBC. He couldn't take that, otherwise then he would be taking it and packaging it and you know what I mean? Then it would be breaking the Ali Act. And so they made that went right to the investors at 50%. So every couple of million for every card that he spent, all those ones that went to Heyman fighters, the investors got 50% of all that. The whole time. Yeah. He couldn't take that. So, and that's what people don't understand about Heyman. Like, he takes the 15% once you're at 100,000 and up, right? And so you're already everybody on the top level has a manager. But then there's the promoter, especially when it's Bob Arum, taking 30% of stuff too. So that's what's so cool about the PBC is, especially if they have a network like Fox behind them, let them do the promoting. They pay a fee to Tom Brown. They pay him straight up. Here's money to promote the fight so we can do this legally, and you have experience, and maybe you could sell some local tickets. I wouldn't doubt, like, with DeBella, remember him and DeBella got a good thing going at the Barclays? I wouldn't doubt if there's incentives on ticket sales and all that. That makes sense. But when it's all said and done, trying to make money on an event, either on the back end on a pay-per-view or just in general, to not have that promoter cut is crucial, and that usually either goes to the fighter or it helps recoup the money when the fight's just okay and it didn't make money or whatever. You know what I mean? So that is already set up that way. And so it makes sense this way. It really makes sense. And then he could be a promoter on the PBC and just get paid through the PBC as like an executive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that he did his graduate. Pretty sure he got a law degree from Harvard as well, Al Heyman. I think he has also his. I think he actually by law he has.
I'm pretty sure it's just a business degree from Harvard. I don't think it's law. I think it's just business.
It's not law. I think it was something with it was something with I don't know if he did his undergrad there, but I know it was definitely like whatever, like he did his graduate work there too. I don't know, but I thought that he had some sort of law shit in the background. But either way,
no, that's a good point.
I mean, he
could have actually had some sort of you're right. He could have had that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think that he does have some sort of background as far as that goes. He's obviously a very smart guy. The fact that people would think that he doesn't have all this shit planned out already. Like, there's a guy who literally took over boxing behind closed doors, and, no one even knows what the hell he looks like. They only have one or two pictures from fights like back in the day. Like, you don't even know who this guy is. I mean, he clearly is very, 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 very sharp. He has all the angles covered. Like, so that's going to be very exciting. You said in October, man. We're approaching October. What, tomorrow?
Yeah,
tomorrow,
technically it's October right now. You're right. Yeah, he did say that. And he's been really hush-hush. He was hush-hush. Remember, he couldn't give any details.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds eerily similar to when he was selling the thing and he said, no, this shit's not happening. It's all false reports, yada, yada, yada,
Yeah. So that's something to look forward to. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see, man. We'll see. But yeah, man, definitely for sure. Next week, I am gonna look at. I've only seen two Better Be fights, and so that's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna look into that and see who actually I'm gonna definitely throw cash on that. I don't know who's favored. I'm sure Bostic is favored by a little bit, but that is going to be something I'm really, really looking forward to. So I'm calling him next week, 100%. You going to do the Skype thing again? Because this is actually way cooler.
Yeah, I'm either going to do this or the straight up Skype thing. It kind of matters, as long, because the thing about Skype, people have to be able to call in on Skype. So it's one of those things, but they can call this number too, the other number. So, I just think what I think it is, everybody has to call into the teleconference, and then you start recording it, because Carcino and 503 were just sitting there in the queue that I can't see because I'm recording. So I think you all have to be in there together, and that obviously causes a little issue because of timing. So maybe this way where I can add people would be better. But either way, we're going to do some form of this.
Okay. Well, yeah, keep me updated, definitely. So I guess I want to listen to the rest of the show. If you could, can you mute me and throw them on? Yeah. I got to hang up. Okay.
Yeah, I'll mute you. I think you can mute yourself, but I see right in front of me I can mute you too.
Okay. Well, yeah, just throw me on mute, man. Yeah, appreciate it, dude.
All right, man.
Talk soon.
Later. Enjoy the fight. Peace. Enjoy that balcony. All right, cool. All right, yeah, I think this is working here pretty good. Let me just make sure that it is. See if that stays muted. I believe it is. And I want to make sure. I'm going to try to get 503, see if he's still around. I haven't checked my text messages in a while, but maybe he texts me that way. But I'm going to see, because I can add him. And anybody that's going to listen to this, it's Christopher.Carlson84, as in Randy Moss. Okay, so Christopher, Carlson 84. You add me on Skype or send it over. I'll hook it up, and you can call into the show anytime. And actually, I think I unmuted you. No? I guess not. All right. So I think it's cool. Maybe that was just me. Maybe there's just a little gap in there. So I'm still kind of figuring out this system. But anyway, just to kind of clean up the rest of it. Okay, cool. So as far as the Molina fight goes, the Molina and I should call it the Josecito Lopez fight in Molina. I actually thought that would be even a better fight than that second one. But, I mean, Josecito Lopez, dude, he freaking hit old boy hard as hell. And I thought Molina was done in that first round. when he got hit into the body, I mean, that's about as close as 10 count. That's right up there with the closest I got up 10 count. You know what I mean? It was close. But kudos to him because he came back and he was landing some big shots, not many of them. And he had this style where he's almost trying to fight like Pernell Whitaker, where he's, sometimes you stand sideways a little bit to, decrease the amount of body that you're given, to the opponent, right? The target, right? And but sometimes you're like, hey, dude, don't just stand there bent over like that, because remember when DeMarco hurt him early, it brought me right back to that. And remember how he got stopped the first time. He was hurt, but he wasn't out. But he sat on the rope and just ducked down, and they had to call it because it's like, dude, you can't do that. It was actually, he was more ducking down than, let's say, Kovalev in that Ward fight, where you're like, dude, that's submitting. You can't cover your head and duck down and bend over like that on the rope. That's just submitting. They got to stop the fight, especially if you've been hurt, So, he started landing shots. I think the fifth round was a great two-way round, but by that time, Lopez was up, 4-1 for me. He scored another knockdown with a left hook, but his jab in the right hand, the overhand right was just like a laser. And they needed to stop that fight earlier. Good fight. It just wasn't as two-way as I thought, which is understandable because Molina got hurt really bad, really early. So for him to even make it through that, I really was impressed by that. But like I said, it wasn't as two-way as I thought. But what are you going to do? It still was fun, But Jose Cito Lopez, dude, give that guy a solid fight, dude. Give him a solid fight. And like I was saying with the Barrios, first 4 rounds, he looked really good. He started to fade. I think there should be a rematch. I had it 113, 7-5 for Akhmedov. That's just my opinion. As far as the Durrell Benavidez, I had it like 1-1 after 2. Then Benavidez started pulling away a little bit. I had it 4-2 after 6. Durrell got cut, obviously, on the eyelid. It's just a horrible cut in a terrible spot. And I saw a lot of people online, even 2 different podcasts, saying it wasn't really bleeding much. But sometimes the cut is so deep. I'm not calling it a puncture wound, but sometimes the cut's so deep, it doesn't actually, bleed as much as you think. Like I actually, when I was a kid, I got a puncture wound in my leg. It was during the winter. I was waiting for my bus, and the snow had been stacked up really high. It was really icy, and I slipped, and I fell right on a pole. It went in like a couple inches, and it was like if you put up the 3-point sign, with the little circle, the 3, that little hole, that was in my leg, but it didn't bleed. I'm looking for the blood, like what the? No, it didn't bleed. Now I'm not trying to say that's that, but some people were like, it barely even bled though. It's like, I hear you, but it's on the eyelid. So I was surprised they let it go. But a nice win by Benavidez regardless. When the rope was messed up, I forgot to talk about this. When the rope was messed up, for that reporter to go, have you ever seen a rope issue like this? It's like, yeah, dude, a ton of times. In fact, it just happened on, Showbox. And the most obvious one is a dude flew into the damn ring. Like, do you remember that? Obviously you don't, because I think she did MMA. I'm trying to use kids' hands with her. Or kids' gloves. Oh, wow, that got weird, didn't it? Kids' gloves. But I just can't stand her, dude. She's got that maybe they're just going for that happy-go-lucky, let-me-cook-for-you arrow, like Midwest girl. I don't know what it is. But for her to be like, have you ever seen a delay in a rope issue? It's like we saw one a week ago, dude. And like I said, the fan man came in to the ring and wrapped his shit around the rope. So, yeah, I've seen some delays, and the rest of the country has too in the world. But that's something I had to bring up. We basically broke down Golovkin, Derevyanchenko pretty well. I think Derevyanchenko, like normal, will look good through 4 to 6 rounds. He'll start to fade. He'll get hit flush. And I think it'll be a TKO because Golovkin's just got more power. But Cloquet lit his ass out. He was hurt. But, he's a tough dude. I believe they sparred. I keep seeing these sparring pictures. So maybe there's something there. Maybe it's nothing. Who knows? Clarissa Shields like I mentioned, goes down another weight class. It's great she's staying busy. She did have that little injury. Otherwise, she would have been back in August, but she's taken a Ivana Habazin. I don't know a ton about her. I'm not going to act like I do, but I'm going to watch her fight. I like Clarissa. I like the way she fights. Power's not there. Maybe it will be at this weight class, but she's really moving down in weight. It's pretty impressive, actually. So that about wraps it up as far as preview and what that. As far as news, we mentioned Wilder and Ortiz 2 will be on Fox pay-per-view November 23rd. And some people think, oh, that's not a pay-per-view worthy fight. And I understand all that. I understand. I totally get it. But and people have been saying this for a while, that they shouldn't do it on pay-per-view. And I understand, but here's the bottom line. This is boxing, okay? And to be shocked that a fight of the year contender that did like the best rating in like 4 years on Showtime, right? It did I think it peaked at 1.2, and that's huge for Showtime. That's like HBO back in the day peaking at 1.8 or something. So that fight was not only during the fight, a lot of people saw it live, but also it just went viral after. And if you can, let's put it this way. If you can, like I just mentioned with the Porter and Spence, the highlights you could put on Fox. If you could put two big dudes clubbing the shit out of each other and there's a knockout, then you see what I'm saying? It is what it is. You know what I mean? I can't sit there and to be surprised that that's on pay-per-view. I'm not trying to be a dick. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. That's fine. But to me, it's a little to be shocked that would be a thing. It's kind of really, dude? You're shocked, though? They're going to do a pay-per-view. Wilder's guarantee is huge now. So I hear you. You know what I mean? I do hear you. I get what you're saying. Don't buy it, though. Or go to the theater for $22. My thing is, if it was one of the better, it was a top 5 fight of 2018. Wilder was losing the fight. Through 5 rounds, I had Wilder down on the cards. Not the first time that it's either even after 6 or Wilder down. We've seen that Spilka. We've seen it with Washington. We've seen it. We've seen it with Fury. So, and then he knocked him down in the 6th or whatever. Then he looked like he was really, really hurt in the 7th. Then he came back and knocked. So it was dramatic. So to be shocked that they're putting this on pay-per-view, I'm sorry. With the guarantees, I'm just not shocked. I'm not mad at it because I knew it was coming. Just don't buy it then. But to act like it's a garbage fight now, are we going down this path when we just saw Spence and Porter and a lot of people thought that was a mismatch? Are you kidding me? Wilder against any top-tier heavyweight, it's going to be about a draw after 6, dude, if he hasn't knocked him down or out. I just don't know why it's all of a sudden bummy. Now, here's a couple of reasons why people have said it. Because Ortiz hasn't looked as spectacular in his last 2 fights. Okay, that's fair, but he was coming forward in those fights. We don't have to go far behind. Remember far back, I was going to say, remember that fight that he blew up on HBO, right? And then he signed with Matchroom. Eddie Hearn put him in with 2 guys he had to go chase around the ring. He didn't look good, did he? He looked pretty average, okay? So when Ortiz has to come forward and chase the guy down, he's only going to look good in spots. But we know he's not going to probably have to go chase Wilder down. Now, Wilder may jab and be on the move more, and maybe that's the reason why he will win more rounds in the first 5, 6 rounds. But to sit there and say now Ortiz is shot when he's been in one tough fight, really, really tough fight, one tough fight, right? How many times have you seen Ortiz just get beat up and be in a war as a professional? I know he's old. I know he's Cuban, so we don't know his age. But to sit there and downgrade it is like, dude, you're going to sit there and call Wilder this wild-ass windmill dude and say he has no skills, okay? But then call Ortiz not a good fight against Wilder. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this? And this thing will sell because they have the freaking highlights of both guys beating on each other that they're going to put in front of college football and an NFL audience. So it will sell 300,000. Now, maybe the rollout won't be as strong, and maybe it won't. I'm not going to call for 350,000 or some kind of weird number just yet because I got to see the rollout. I got to see how much they're really going to push it. But I don't know. Now, the undercard's not going to be anywhere near it. Now, they may get some mid-level fights with guys that don't make a lot of money and just good action fight. That's what I'm hoping for. But my guess is it's not because of Wilder's minimum. This undercard is not going to be good. With Leo Santa Cruz and Miguel Flores, I don't like that fight. Now, I know that's 130, Leo's first fight at 130. I know that. I get it. I totally understand. And he's going to be in a big fight after, whatever. But the undercard's probably going to suck. I'll just say it right there. I mean, the co-feature is not cool. It's really probably, this fight's going to be in Vegas. It probably just, Leo's big in the West, for his weight class. An extra 4,000 people will go because of Leo. And I think that's what he's on there for, to be honest. You get the Mexican fight fan, they're going to be, oh, Leo's, okay, the two Mexicans fighting on the undercard. And Ortiz, okay, cool, let's do it. I'm not trying to stereotype people. I'm just saying what they're thinking about marketing-wise. So what is Pacquiao going to do? Pacquiao against Mikey, or is this Pacquiao and Mayweather fight happening? We don't know. Recently, and I saw this on a What's Up Ness, the boxing voice. What's up, Ness? Hardest man, working man in showbiz, or in the boxing business, I should say. Well, behind Al Heyman. No, they said in their show description that Mikey, Robert Garcia, the recent interview, I can't remember the source where they got the interview. Maybe it was their source. I don't know. But that Mikey wants a quick little tune-up, and that fight might happen in the second quarter, like April, May, maybe May. Pacquiao and Mikey. It makes sense that he wouldn't want to go that long. He wouldn't have fought since March. So if it's going to be next year, he probably wants a tune-up. Maybe that's going to happen. I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe Pacquiao took a lot of damage in that fight and says, you know what, I'm good taking 9 months off. I'm just going to be a congressman. Because I know he has a January date available. But obviously that is probably not available now because they're not going to do back-to-back pay-per-views in the same month if they're trying to put Spence on that date. So that's what we've heard. So Pacquiao is either going to fight Mikey or he's going to fight Mayweather. That's what it seems like. Speaking of fights, Callum Smith finally has an opponent. It's John Ryder. It's in Liverpool, November 23rd. Probably be on DAZN, I assume. It's a big UK fight because it involves local fighters, but at least it just gets him in the ring with a pretty good guy. We'll see where that goes, but that's November 23rd in Liverpool. Another fight that sounds like it's going to be made for December, potentially, is Jean Pascal and Badu Jack. And with Jean Pascal, upsetting Marcus Brown, that's an interesting fight. Talk about two guys over the hill, but still got something left probably, is Pascal and Badu Jack. I actually like that fight. Heavyweight contender Carlos Takam, he signed with Top Rank. That's a pretty good signage. Just in case, does that mean, some people are saying they're gonna push back Wilder and Fury now, and it just to test the eye, he's gonna fight Carlos Takam. Maybe he'll fight Carlos if he were to lose, and that's a good bounce back. I don't know, but that's a good signing regardless. He's a good fighter, obviously. I meant to talk about this. Terrence Crawford, the only way Crawford is going to get the Spence fight, which he's probably not going to, but first of all, be ringside, dude. Be ringside. You got to be ringside. I know they're not going to let you in the ring per se, I know that. But they'll let you in the building. They're not going to ban Terrence Crawford from the building. And when you got a great fight like that, imagine how great it would have been. Danny Garcia jumps in the ring, and the focus is on Terrence Crawford screaming from the sideline going, "What's up, dude? You going to fight him or fight me?" You got to be ringside. Like I said, I'll repeat it. They wouldn't have let him in the ring. I agree with that. But they'd let him in the building. So if Crawford wants to fight and to put that pressure on him and to get Spence pissed, because Spence, like we said earlier in the show, Spence listens to this shit. He listens. He does listen. So my thing is you gotta do that. Or say do this and then say I'll take a 60-40. Just say it. Say I'll take a 60-40. We're good. I'm not the A side, fine. I'll take over your A side. And I think that's the only way he's going to be able to do it. As far as, early 2021 before that, you know what I mean? And actually, Jake Donovan, he said that Terrence could have taken an October fight and been their rings and been more lined up with Spence instead of December 14th. Because he fights December 14th. That fight wouldn't happen then anyway next. Not that it would, but he said that instead of fighting October, he decided to fight in December and take his birthday off. So it's like, he re-upped with Top Rank. That's his business. That's his prerogative. But he could have signed with PBC and been a lot closer to the fight. But I understand he's making a good guarantee. I'm not gonna dog on him. But at the minimum, you got to be ringside screaming, and you may have to say, I'll take 60-40. Banez Martirosyan is in trouble. Allegedly, he had a domestic dispute. Headbutted his girlfriend/wife. I'm not sure which one it is. This is alleged. We'll get into that more when it comes up. A real cool thing. DAZN, during Sunday Night Football, DAZN had a commercial because, they do have that NBC Sports Network little agreement where they put on their shoulder programming on NBC Sports Network for the bigger fights. And during Sunday Night Football, they had a DAZN commercial, which was really cool. I really liked it. And it said Canelo, Joshua, Golovkin, and Ruiz. The only thing I didn't like about it is, I understand saying, hey, just Triple G this weekend. Nobody really knows Derevyanchenko. But you got to say Canelo Kovalev because people know Kovalev. He's been on HBO a whole lot in front of over 1 million people, a bunch. And then also the date. And then Ruiz and Joshua in the date. Now, I know they're going to run more commercials and they'll have the date, but it was kind of a cool, the fall schedule's here, let's get it on type of commercial. And I really liked that. I wanted to put that in there. That was really cool. I liked what I saw out of that for sure. So anyway, I'm going to shut this puppy down. Sorry for those who normally just listen live. When it's archived, you can still listen that way on Blog Talk. You probably won't even know it because it's Monday and the show will be out Tuesday, so you'll be good. But I do want to say sorry to Carcino in Portland 503 because I think I thought you could record the session and then be able to put people in the queue, but I can only do that, I guess, on Skype. So I apologize about that. I'll say that. But anyway, enjoy the fights. Man, what a freaking weekend we had. What a great weekend we had. I'm going to get out of here. Like I said, enjoy the fights. We'll be back next week. Peace out.